Hey everyone, it's Karen Burniston here with our March 2024 virtual class. Okay, so we're going to make 2 cards this month. We're featuring 5 dies from our new collection. And the first one's going to be an Easter card. So that one's going to have a cool little pop-up bunny made out of our pop-up ball dies. That one's removable for display. Fun little happy Easter card will be our first card. And then for our second card, we're going to change things up. We're going to make a wishing you good luck card. So that's going to be good for year-round. And the pop-up inside is our rocket pop-up. So this is going to be a good technique to learn in this video about how you can take that rocket pop-up and actually turn it into something much more generic. In this case, just 3 sets of layered squares. And then since it is a good luck card, then we're going to put some little greetings on it that kind of go with luck. So we're going to do rooting for you with the carrots. And we're going to do you'll be amazing with the B. And then we'll do you rock with, you guessed it, a rocket. So that'll be fun for our second card. Okay, so what is this video? This video is the actual assembly of these cards. And what did you have to do before you got here? Okay, first of all, you might just be joining this and you don't have a kit, and that's fine too. So talking to the kit holders, what you did is you purchased a kit of materials for these cards from either our website, KarenBurniston.com, or from one of the participating stores. And then 10 days before this video, but 10 days before this premiered, you received by email from whoever you bought your kit from, you received these printable PDF handouts, very detailed handout instructions for the cards, as well as a link to a prep work video. And so and you could also get there by scanning that QR code. Okay, so you went to that hopefully you went to that prep work video with your raw materials, and you and I together prepped your materials down into 2 ready to assemble card kits. Okay, so let's say you didn't know there was prep work. This is your first time doing it. You didn't realize that. That's fine. You've come across this video today and you're like, oh no, I didn't know I had prep work to do. That's fine. It's totally fine. This is pre-recorded. It'll be right here where you left it if you want to come back after doing your prep work, or feel free if you're watching it at the premiere. I'm in the chat box over there, I guess. I don't want to say which way, this way. And you can ask me some questions and stuff if you're watching on the premiere. If you're not watching on the premiere, just pause this, go to your prep work, and come back. Okay, and again, check your email. Those of you who have kits, check your email and make sure that you have that prep work video email in your handout. So you can check your spam folder, because that happens sometimes, so check your spam folder. All right, so assuming you've done all your prep work, because either you just paused me and you went and did your prep work and came back, or you'd already had it done, now you're ready to assemble. So this is the assembly video. All right, let's talk about the dies that we used to do that prep work. So along with your big chunks of pattern paper and cardstock and everything you need for these cards, then there is a set of required dies. So there are 5 new dies actually from our new collection that were the required dies for this month. And they include our new Happy Easter, and that does come with a shadow. We've got the new connectors, word said 18 connectors. So this one's gonna be really nice for those of you who also own any of our other little numbered word sets, because this font is used like kind of across most of them, not all of them, but most of them. And so you'll find with these connector words, you can get some new combinations. But even just this set, wishing you a, and then, whatever you wanted to stamp or use dies for. But you've also got the to from when you're doing tags from our family, from both of us, all our love. So all sorts of things you can do with that one. Then we've got good luck. That also includes a shadow. We do that on the second card. And then the Easter dies that we're using are our Easter borders, and then the animal add-ons 5. Okay, so you could have, and some of you probably did because these are brand new dies, you could have bundled your 5 dies with your class materials. That's your best value because you get kind of a little discount that way versus buying the things separately. But there is an option where you can buy just the paper and pre-cuts for the cards if you already own the required dies. So that's always an option with these virtual classes. You can get it all bundled together if you don't already own any of the dies. That's the best value. If you do own some, then you can buy just paper and pre-cuts. But I say that with the bundle and stuff because one thing that we don't include in bundles is if we have an add-ons set in our required dies, then we make sure that you, as an additional requirement, have the foundation die that add-ons fits, because we're not gonna, make you buy a die to fit some other die and then say you don't have to have that other die. So in the case of Animal Add-ons 5, the dies that this one fits, your foundation die, it will fit either the mini ball pop-up, which is our smallest ball, it's this size, okay, or the bitty ball pop-up, which is about 20% bigger than this one. I don't have what, oh, see, I'll tell you on this bunny. See the difference there, okay? So either of those two dies. So you can make your bunny out of either mini balls or bitty balls, or if you are a ball enthusiast and you have both of these dies, then you can make that bunny out of both. You could do a mini ball for the head and a bitty ball for the body. So that's up to you. You're only making one bunny, but I made 3 because I didn't know which ball people were going to be using. So I'll show you the differences in the bunnies there. Okay, so here's your 3 choices for bunny. You can do mini, 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 bitty, or bitty, bitty, and then you can also choose how you're going to assemble your ears. So we'll get into that as we get into that first card. Okay, so that extra foundation die, that was not part of the bundle, so you have to pick that one up separately if you didn't already have it. And like I said, you can choose your favorite. It doesn't matter. Either balls will work for the bunny, and any of them will fit in that card as well. Someone might be asking, well, could I use the biggest ball, which is the surprise ball? The reason I didn't put that one as a possibility for your foundation die for this month is because the decorator pieces. So I know that in the mini and the bitty, you know, these were really designed for animals. So all of the decorator pieces are designed around animals. And so when we do an animal add-ons, we don't duplicate pieces. So, you know, the chick, we're not doing a chick in this class, but for the chick, you know, you use that base die, either the mini or the bitty, for things like wings and eyes and beaks and things like that. And for the bunny that we're doing in this class, you use the foundation die for the bow tie, whichever ball that you have. So those pieces don't come in the surprise ball. But could you use the surprise ball as the body for an animal and then say use the bitty for the head? Yeah, absolutely, you could do that. And even with this bunny, that would work. What I don't know is if it would fit because I didn't test it with the surprise ball. So I would say stick with, I mean, it'll probably fit. Let me look at the bitty. This is the biggest bunny that I designed for. Y'all, I don't know about that surprise ball. Maybe if you left the tail off, you could do it. But see, you're getting real close there on the bitty, and so I don't know if you could do it with the surprise. But we do have that ball available. So if you get, you know, this is your first time using any of our ball dies and you're like, oh, wow, I really like those, just know that you also have a third bigger size available, and that's the surprise ball. All right, let's get going. We're going to start with our Easter card. That is card 1. All right, so we are going to dive in here onto card 1. So what I'm going to do is dump everything out of my card 1 baggie into something to hold it. So that could be a paper plate if you got it. I've got this little tray, so I'm going to use that. There are a lot of little small pieces. And really dump your bag because, you know, things tend to cling, you know, little eggs and things like that. Okay, so first things first, there were pre-cuts for this class. So what I mean by that is if I used any dies in the design of the card that were not part of the required dies, then those pieces had to be pre-cut for you by the kit makers, okay? But I still list them in the handout, so if you want to make this exact card again, then you know what dies you need to pick up. Okay, so the oval here and the oval for where you're going to sign the card, those were from our crosshatch ovals set. That was not one of the required dies, so that was pre-cut for you. So ovals crosshatch, you got 2 pieces out of that were pre-cut in your kit somewhere. All right, then the topper tag. So this tag closure right here, that came out of our new topper tags set. Let me find that one. I grabbed all of there's it back here. So that set has all those cool tags, and we used the biggest one for this closure. So that's been pre-cut for you. And then there's 4 different possibilities for hole protectors. So I had the kit makers cut you the circles out of pink. Oh, those are in your little pre-cuts as well. All right, then for the spacers, so we're going to make a closure, okay, and we're going to stack up some spacers underneath that Easter basket so that it's easy to bring the twine around that basket, okay? And so I had the kit makers grab the spacer set out of either our flap enclosure or our long flap enclosure because they both have spacer dies in it. So if you're looking around your dies and saying, do I have something I can use for spacers, look to see if you have either of our flap enclosure die sets, or if you have the train, pivot panels, the little wheels, those would look great as spacers as well. Okay, so those are pre-cut for you. So you can see here, ovals, topper tag, flap enclosure, or long flap enclosure, those were pre-cut for you in your kit. And we are going to actually get out that big tag. All right, I'm going to give you a little pep talk right now. So this is pre-recorded. And that means you are in control because you can't yell at me, hey, Karen, you're going too fast, stop, like you can on a Zoom class, okay? So I'm just going to carry on at my usual pace of crafting, okay? I'm not going to, I'm not going to go speed anything up or anything like that, but I'm just going to kind of go along at my usual pace of crafting. If your style is that you want to watch me do it first, cool. You're in control of that pause button, okay? So just hit pause. You can scroll back, rewatch something again. You are in control. You do not have to get this done on any kind of time frame. You can do this in sessions. You are in control. Okay, so give yourself a break if you can't craft it quite as fast as I can. But I'm going to keep going because then what's nice is that when you go to make this again, and then you go and watch it again, you're not watching with like a ton of pauses in the video. So anyway, you're in control of that pause button. So feel free to pause me at any time and rewind. All right, so let's get here into our Easter Bunny pop-up. The reason I got that tag out is that we need to score that tag in 2 locations to be able to bring it up and over our card to use it as a closure. Okay, I gave you a diagram in your class day instructions here, okay? It says score the large pre-cut tag at 4 1/8 inches from the flat end, and then at 4 1/2 inches from the flat end, and then that's going to give you a 3/8 inch gusset in that tag. So we're basically going to put a little 3/8 inch gusset in here somewhere. Now, if you have a scoring board, that's probably going to be your easiest, is to grab a scoring board, and the measurement on that was 4 1/8. Okay, so 4 1/8 is going to be 1 tick past, you're going to split the difference between 4 1/4 and 4. So that's going to be 4 1/8. And then we're going to count 1, 2, 3 tick marks to 4 1/2. Okay, so 4 1/2 is your other one. So that'll give you 3/8 in between. So let me show you on my scoring board here. Okay, so the next tick mark past 4 is 4 1/8, and then 4 1/2. And if you put your flat end over here and you score on those 2 marks, then you'll end up with a 3/8 of an inch gusset in that tag. We are going to fold it. Yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead. If you care about which way you fold it, some people really like to fold against the bump and stuff. If you look at the pretty side of the tag, and by pretty you can really tell the side that's been die cut because it's kind of rounded. If you look on the back, depending on who cut the tag for you and how scratchy their cutting pads are, you could even have some scratches back here. So the pretty side, if you put the pretty side up, then when we score it at 4 1/8 and 4 1/2, the bump will be towards the inside, and that's actually the way that we're folding it anyway. So we're folding towards the bump, if you do it that way, okay? Now, this is the only tag you have unless you happen to own the topper tags set, and then you could cut another one. So if you mess that up, but you're only off a little bit, like either your gusset's a little wide, or you were at 4 1/4 and counted 3 from there, it's not super important. You know what I mean? Because it's just decorative. So what I mean is like, oh, if you scored that a little wrong and this is a little wider or a little shallower, it wouldn't really matter. So don't stress out about that. Okay, so there's our tag. And that is the only scoring you need to do. Usually I don't make you bring your scoring board to the class day video, but I just, instead of having you do it during prep work, I just had you do it during class day. Okay, so now you've got a little diagram here in your handout for how we're just going to attach that now to the back of that card that we cut and scored during prep work. So during prep work, you got your green card here, okay, and you cut and scored that one also with a gusset in it, which I think is also probably a 3/8 of an inch gusset. Yes, it is. So we've got the gussets are going to match on either side. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue that big flat end of the tag behind that card up to the first fold so that we have basically a thick card like this. Okay, so you can measure if you want to. This is smooth cardstock, so at this point there's no up or down to it. You know what I mean? You can't really get that wrong. So I guess pick if you have a favorite. All right, so I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to recommend glue for this, but I suppose if you're a real huge fan of like a strong tape, you could use a strong tape. Sort of depends on where you live. I live in Texas, in South Texas, and let me tell you, there is just not a tape that will hold up to, our humidity down here. But I sure have had good, really excellent luck with glue. So I use Lineco neutral pH adhesive, and I put it in our fine tip bottle so I can get that fine line. And then to keep it flowing during class or during my crafting session, I just put a damp paper towel in a jar, and that could use a little more water. I just squirt it with water every day. I just have a little squirt bottle in my office and just squirt it with water. Okay, so we are looking to have that be on the back of the card here, and I'm just going to eye it as far as, because it's just decorative. It doesn't, I'm not going to spend a lot of time measuring that it's exactly perfect. That's pretty close. That's good enough for me. I'll tell you what, I'll move it a little bit. Oh, I think I went worse. Let's see. I'm gonna do it like this. You know what? I'm going to call this good because I keep going this way and then I go this way and then it's not perfect, whatever. Okay, so in fact, my glue kind of dried a little bit while I was fussing with it. All right, that's what we're looking to do, is we're looking to just make that tag basically be the right side of our card for the closure. All right, now, since we're building a closure that has a brad in it, so there's a brad through that basket to hold it on the front of the card, then we definitely have to do some decorating on the front so that we can put the basket through with the brad so that that brad will then be hidden by the paper inside the card. So when you do a string closure like that and you're using a brad, then you want to do it kind of in a specific order. So we're on step 2 here on your handout. If you're a person that loves to follow along on a handout, you've got that piece of So Excited paper that we're going to just glue there to that front panel. Okay, so, or you can use a tape runner if you prefer. All right. And I'm just going to center that, and feel free to open that up if that makes it easier to get good centering on that paper. All right, and then you're looking for one of the strips of the yellow paper, the thin strips, the one that's long enough to go all the way across the pattern paper, and then you should be looking for a 1-inch strip, or maybe that's 1 1/4. I think that might be the 1 1/4. Let me find that strip. This one. Yeah, this one I think was 1 1/4. All right, so what I did is I just chose a spot. Wherever you put your pink is kind of going to be where your basket is so that it shows up real nicely, because the white will show up better against the pink than it will against the eggs. Okay, so, that's a little bit sort of your preference as to where it goes. So what I did is I glued the pink down first, and then I put the yellow kind of straddling over the fold on the left-hand side. So, you may choose based on how much egg you want to see on the left, but it looks to me like I pretty much put mine where this striped egg, just kind of came up to it. So, but there's not, that's really, honestly, card maker's choice on that. Card maker's choice on location for that. So about there-ish. Okay, so we're on the front of the card. I just have it folded open so that I can have a flat surface for working on it. All right, then we're going to put this thin strip of yellow gingham paper, and I just straddled the edge, so half on the pink and half on the eggs. That's what I did. Okay, you can make creative choices. So maybe you say, I think I'd like that better over there, or I don't like that at all, or whatever, just to your liking. All right, so now we've got the front of the card to where we can make our basket and put our brad through, and then we can get into the decorations for the inside. All right, so let's talk about this basket. So this little basket comes with the add-ons, the add-ons We're going to make a second one that's lavender that the bunny's going to hold. All right, so the pieces that you're looking for are the white basket. You're going to need some eggs. So I'm going to start getting some eggs out here as I find them. So during prep work, we cut a bunch of eggs, enough for 2 baskets at least. I think we were supposed to cut 6 eggs, and I was having so much fun cutting eggs that I cut more than 6, but then I have choices. So, all right, so that little egg die will cut 3 at a time, and it comes with the thing. Okay, so we need a white basket, and then we need a piece of grass for inside that basket, so that also comes in that animal add-ons set. But then you also have a longer piece of grass that comes in the Easter border, so you've got all sorts of grass. All right, so we just need to find that slit in the basket, and then you can wiggle that green cardstock down in there. So that's going to be a little tight because that's thick cardstock on the green, but just kind of shove it down in the basket, something like this. And then what you'll see is when you turn it around, you've got that lip. So that's a great spot to just go in there and add some glue between the layers. And just pinch that grass so that it attaches to the back of the basket. Okay. Just like that. All right, then pick 3 eggs, any 3 eggs to put in your basket. And I usually put that behind the grass. So let's see, if we put the side ones in first, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to just go in there and add some glue behind the grass across the width of the basket. And then I'm going to pick an egg for the right. I'm going to choose this yellow one. I'm going to pick I'll put a pink one on the left. Okay, whatever angle you want. And then I'm going to put that cool spotted egg. It's the center one. Okay. All right, so there is the basket for the front of the card. All right, in your pre-cuts, with your pre-cuts should be a white brad. Did I forget to put a white brad in mine? No, I remember. Now, the brad size might be a little different, on the size, because again, with things that are real generic like that, like say the twine, I don't know for sure that everyone has the exact shade yellow twine that I do. Maybe you even have pink. I don't know. I let the kit makers have a little bit of creative license when they're making the kits. So on the brad, it may be a miniature brad, it may be a micro brad, or maybe a little bit larger. It just basically needs to be a white brad. And so, mine looks to be it's like a mini brad, but yours might be a little smaller or a little bigger than that one, and it'll be fine, whatever's in your kit. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to find those spacers. So with the spacers, those were pre-cut for you, like I said, out of one of our 2 flap and closure die sets. So each one has spacers in it, so it wouldn't matter which one. And so what I asked the kit makers to do is to put double-sided tape on the back of the green cardstock before die cutting so that those would actually be stickers. So you're going to need something to pull those up. I mean, it could be your fingernails, but sometimes what I like to do is I like to dig the center holes out first, because inevitably when you make stickers where you've got something in the center, as soon as you pull the ring up, the center flips over and into the adhesive on the back. You know what I mean? You've done it with letters, I'm sure. You're doing a sticker word, and then the centers of the O's and the A's and the P's and stuff, it just, as soon as you lift up the item, it flips over and into the back. You don't need the little circles that come out of the middle, so if you want to dig those out first, that would be great. Now, look at this. This looks like it's important to tonight, so put that over there. Okay, so now you've got, I'm not going to use all 6. I think I'm just going to use 4. You could use all 6. It'll just make it a little higher, but I think 4 is plenty. So I'm going to pick a spot for my closure that I would like to be in line pretty much with the tag, So I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to kind of pick where the thing's going to be. Now, I want that white brad to be all within the white. So let me find something to pierce into here. Piece of fun foam. All right, so I'm going to pick a spot for my white brad. something like this. Doesn't really matter as long as it's in the white. Okay, so there's the spot where my brad's going to go through. All right, so before I put my brad through, what I can do now, make sure you open your card all the way up. Well, first of all, let me do this. Let me mark where I want my basket to go. So basically like in this area. Okay. Now I'm going to open this all the way up. Okay, and I'm going to pierce that. Well, I guess I could, you know what's be easier is maybe put it, nope, do it this way. I'm going to change my mind. Just going to pierce the hole kind of in the location. Okay, so that hole just needs to be through the front of the card and into the inside of the card. Now, if it went, like if you had it all folded up and you just pierced all the way down through, well, you're in luck because we're going to put a piece of paper here and we're going to put a piece of cardstock here. So that will all get fixed, but you really would prefer to just pierce through the front of the card for this. Okay, now depending on your brad, you may have to kind of make that a little bit bigger hole depending on how big your brad is. Okay, so before we put the basket on, we're going to stack up some spacers around that hole that we just pierced. So I'm going to do 4. Now you might be able to do 3. If you did 3, then you have 3 left over for another card. So I leave that to you. If you want to kind of stretch that pre-cut into a second card, you could. All right, and then we're going to put this brad through those spacers, through the card. Now, you know what I did say in the instructions, and probably I do want to do this. Why don't you go ahead and throw a little glue on the top of that thing. And the only reason I say that is I did not do that on my original, and I find that I'm constantly kind of spinning this thing around a little bit when I'm operating the closure. So if you like that, you could not put glue, but if you kind of want it to stay put in the location that you want it, then you might want a little glue on the top of your spacer set. Okay, so get that. Since I'm gluing it, I want to make sure it's straight. I'm going to open up those prongs on the inside, and then before my glue sets, I'm going to get it into it. Oh, get that off the fun foam there. Okay, here's my basket. On some spacers. Brad goes through the front of the card and into here. Those prongs will get covered up with paper. Okay, cool. Cool, cool. All right, let's see what order I was. Add the white basket, add a spot of glue, right? I did that. I actually did that. Right, okay, so now let's go ahead and get this closure working. So the way we're going to do that is you're going to find in your pre-cuts, you're going to find the pink hole protectors that were cut with the topper tags. Remember I said that that topper tags has 4 different styles of hole protector. Once again, I asked them to make those into stickers for you. Not because they'd be hard at all to glue on, but just because then it's loose pieces that they have to count out and put into kits. Whereas if they just cut it as a sticker, that's just a piece that goes right into the kit. So it's easier on them and it's easier on you. All right, so I'm going to put those hole protectors on my topper tag. One on each side. Okay. And then what you're going to do with your twine is you're going to go ahead and tie the ends into a knot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to put the 2 twine ends together. I'm going to go around my finger and then, you know, pull it through the loop. Okay. That's, I think, the best way to do it. And then I'm going to leave myself a little, you know, that knot is going to be basically really nice for actually operating the closures. Pulling that knot. So you could even make it a double knot if you're good about lining them up. But the problem is if I do a double knot, then I'll have a knot over here and then I'll try again and I'll end up with 3 knots. I'm just going to stick with 1 knot. But if you're really good, there's probably some trick to it that I don't know. All right, so now we have a twine loop. All right, so what we want to do with that twine loop is, let's see which way I did it. I guess it doesn't really matter whether you go through, I think I did this way. It doesn't really matter. You can try it both ways and see if you like one way better, but you're going to take the looped end, where the fold is, and you're going to go through the hole of the twine, the hole of the tag, sorry. Then you're going to open up that loop, grab your knotted end, and then just weave it through, okay? All right, so then now that can wrap around that basket. It's gonna be it's a little easier once the bunny's in because that puts some height to the card. That's how that closure is going to operate. So that's kind of a fun closure to do, even for any kind of Easter card, even if you weren't doing a bunny inside. Cute. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish out the decor here on the front of this tag and just get those pieces out of the way. All right, getting into our Easter borders, we're going to find the eggs border. That is one that you cut out of white during prep work. Oh, there it is. It fell out of my tray. Okay, so here's our white border. Okay, so it looks like we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 eggs. The ones that seem to fit the best. Oh, it's going this way. I was looking because I didn't start with this egg. I started with the second egg in. Yeah, that seems to be a nice group of 7 that mostly gets across the tag. So as you're only using it for this. So as you're looking at your egg border, so I guess arrange your egg border with the eggs pointed up. Like, see how this one's pointed up versus pointed down. So the eggs that are sitting on their ends, they're pointed up like this. And if you take your scissors and cut off one egg off of the left-hand side, okay? I'm going to actually pretty that up a little bit. Okay, then you should be able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eggs. Okay, so you're going to end up cutting 4 off of the right-hand side, and then you'll have a border of 7 eggs. That's a nice span on that tag right there. Okay, so there's our 7-egg border. We're not going to use these pieces. So, all right, so the way that egg border works is there is an overlay die in that set, and that overlay die will cut 4 different eggs that can be layered over the top of this one, okay? One of which is a solid. So if you need individual eggs and you want them to have overlays, you can do solid plus overlay, but you can also use the solid to be able to make you a whole Easter border that is all, sorry, I was looking for that Easter border set. I'll show you the, goodness, y'all. I don't know what I did with our required dies. Oh, I put them back here, that's why. Okay, sorry. Too many surfaces. All right, let me just, this is a good visual. Okay, so here you can see it's a solid egg border with eggs of different colors. So that's, cutting the egg border, the solid one, and you could cut it out of one of the colors, you know what I mean? So you could, and then you could just cut solids to change the colors of it. So let's say I cut this entire thing out of green, then I would cut pink, yellow, orange, and so on and so forth. Or you can do the little overlays or some mixture of the two. So there's 3 different styles of overlay, and what I had you do is cut those overlays with the double-sided adhesive on the back if you had it, because it was less, like I said, then now they're just stickers. Okay, and I had you cut them out of orange, purple, and pink. All right, so now does this have to match mine? It absolutely does not have to match mine. You can just do your own creative choices on this. But if you do want it to match mine, then I started with a pink overlay with the zigzag, single stripe zigzag. So that's what I put out here on this side. We are not, oh, look, I've got a little glitter. Probably came off of my nails, actually, to tell you the truth. I put some glitter nail polish on. If you wanted to, because we're actually only using these overlays, let me verify that's true, but we're only using these overlays for this one little bit of border, right? We don't use any eggs anywhere else because these are the small ones on the bunny. So if you wanted to, you would not even have to have white background for all of them if you like some of these in combination. So in other words, what I mean is, so this one I put pink over white. Let's say the second one, I wanted to put orange solid down first. I could put orange solid and then purple polka dot. This is what I do sometimes if I've got pieces to come out and I didn't dig them out ahead of time. I'll poke them out onto my finger or poke them out onto a surface. because they're stickers, so they'll stick. Okay, so I'm doing purple polka dot, and see how one flipped over and right into the background? I'm telling you, when you do stickers, it's better to dig the stuff out first. Okay, so I could put that purple polka dot over that orange solid. See, if I wanted to change the background with the solid one. So that's up to you. So on this one, I just did just a single overlay on each of the white eggs. So the background is white on all of them. But like I said, you have those solid eggs. So if you wanted to kind of mix in a couple where you layered them, that would be fine. All right, and then I'm going to do orange striped. The other thing too is you have all those other pieces that come, like the stripes that come out of this one. So sometime when you're really bored, you could even inlay them in different colors. But I mean, I don't know, y'all. Sounds like a lot of work. But if you were binging something, you know, binging something on Netflix and you wanted to, you could. Okay, so now I've got that. All right, next one was the pink polka dots. On this one, I think I am going to, oops, pull the circles out. So we have several stores that make kits for our virtual classes. So, and you'll find those on the events page of our website. If you are watching this video at the premiere on March 9th, and this is your first introduction to our classes, you didn't know that there were kits available, we have sold out of kits on our website, KarenBurniston.com, but when you go to KarenBurniston.com and go to the events page, we will have listed the stores that are making kits for this virtual class, including our newest store partner, which is in the Netherlands. So you know, our European people will have an option for getting the kits in Europe without, you know, the shipping from the States. So that's another option too. So we're really happy with that. All right, do I want to put another color behind this one? No, I don't. I'm just gonna stick with doing what I did. Okay, and then this one. This purple one, striped one. I'm ending up with stickers all over my fingers. Okay. I'm kind of feeling like that one that I layered the solid behind it is going to look weird in comparison to all the other ones because I'm not doing the same thing. So I'm thinking about just taking it off. Taking that off. We're going to say that was for illustration purposes only. Wasn't just a lot of contrast, but they're all kind of pastels. There just wasn't enough contrast for me. I think I like the contrast against the white best. So, but I'm not the boss of you. You can do what you please. So, okay, and then the pink striped is our final one. So we do these virtual classes, well, it's usually once a quarter. So we do virtual class, and then we do Zoom, and then virtual class again. But it got a little messed up this first quarter of 2024 because I was teaching on a crafting cruise in February. And so February needed to be a virtual class because it was the day before I left on the cruise. And I just, you know, I knew that one couldn't be Zoom, but we had already planned for March, this one, to be a virtual class as well. So we had 2 back-to-back virtual classes. February and March. But April and May will then switch to being Zoom classes. And Zoom kits are only sold through the participating stores. So that same list of stores that you will find on our events page, they will be selling the kits for April and May. I haven't designed it yet. That's like next on the list. So, well, actually, by the time this airs, hopefully, actually, I say that, I'm going to take that back. At the time this airs, I think hopefully at least April will be up. But you can get kits from those stores. And then it's just like this one, except for today, instead of it being a pre-recorded video, it is a Zoom session that you log into, but it's also recorded. So if you can't make it or you can't stay for the whole class, you'll get a link after that. We do not make Zoom classes public. This class day video, you know, you can watch the virtual classes without a kit because it's pre-recorded. But when we get to Zoom, then I don't ever put them up public because, you know, the students are on there and, you know, I just don't feel comfortable with that. So you got to get a kit to get on the Zoom classes, but you got those choices of different stores, and they will ship kits. So, All right, so you are looking for the piece of pattern paper that would fit that tag, and then you've got another yellow stripe. Okay, and then you've got this eggs to kind of go over this side. So you're just going to make that little decoration there with your things. So. Okay, now as I do this too, let me welcome anybody that's new. And I do know that we have new people this month because I saw new names even on our the kits that we send out and stuff. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for giving this program a try. What's nice about you all doing your own prep work is that I can teach every month that way. So back in the days, kind of before the pandemic, because the pandemic is what made everybody sort of reevaluate how they do things. And if I taught a class, you would have shown up to class and everything would have been pre-cut for you, but just enough to do those exact cards that you were doing, right? You don't really get all your leftover papers and all that kind of stuff. And you don't get to learn all the tips and tricks for how to put the die, how to use the dies. So, after class, maybe you buy the dies that were used, but then you never really got the instruction on how to use them. So by doing those prep work videos where you get to prep your own kit with me, you really learn how to use these dies, all the tips and tricks for using them. We found that the students just kind of love this program, and we do too. And it allows me to teach every month. So instead of once a quarter, which is what I could do last when because I'm not making kits all the time. All right, this is cool. We've got our thing done. Now, because this is a ball card, so two reasons. One is because it's a ball card, and so we really want a nice strong card because we want it to be able to hold up to 4 rubber bands inside there and not be like super bowed out on the back. So that's why we used heavyweight cardstock for the card itself. That's why we're putting panels of paper to stiffen it, and then on the back, we're actually going to put a panel of the same heavyweight cardstock. And that does two things. One, it stiffens it up, which is the most important, but also it will cover up that tag. Okay, make it nice and smooth. So let's go ahead and do that now. So find the piece of green cardstock that you cut during prep work, and let's glue that to the back. Now remember, we cut that 1/8 of an inch shorter, which means it can come in just a smidge from each side, and you don't have to be quite so precise. Now, if you're a person that loves to line it up with an edge, you could, it's up to you whether you center it or not. I'm going to center mine. This is for strength, so I would definitely suggest instead of just doing the perimeter, to get it on there, since it is for strength, let's go ahead and shellac it. If you were doing tape, I would do, maybe around the corner and an X or something on your tape. But if you're using glue, don't spare your glue, because this is for strength, so we want that to be strong underneath that bunny. Okay, here we go. Got the outside done, and now we're ready to decorate the inside, and then we'll get that bunny put together. What's great is that then we get into the bunny, we get it all put together, and we get to immediately put it in the card and have it, be working and all that stuff. So that's why I want to go ahead and do all this stuff first. All right, so we had you cut this beautiful Cartabella paper into 2 panels for the inside of the card. If you did do it the way I showed it in the diagrams or by watching me in the prep work video, then there is a way that your pattern will line up. So if that's something that's important to you, just put them, you bisect this bunny right here. And then one's going to go on this side. I say that, but then you're not going to see it anyway. But just put either one, either way. Doesn't matter. Okay, so we're going to glue those in the card. So I am a die designer. I mean, that really is where my strength is, and that's why we pretty much stick with dies. I never say never. We might have some stamps in the future, but they probably won't be like imagery stamps and things like that, because that's for me, I love to design with dies, and I love to make cards that are completely made with dies. Not that I have, like I said, I love stamps, I love stamping, but I am not the best colorer, to tell you the truth. And so what I like about our decorator dies is that you can give, you can build up a layered look, but you're doing it with paper instead of necessarily having to be the best colorer out there. So, but we also play, our dice play really nicely with others, so you can, it's kind of the best of all worlds, right? But when I teach classes, I rely on pattern paper because I love pattern paper. And sometimes that pattern paper will even have a greeting or something that I can use in a card. But all of my classes and all of my cards always use pattern paper because I am a fiend for it. You know, I love pattern paper. So when we design the classes, like we'll pick one paper line to use, or one paper company, I guess I should say, to use across like 3 months worth of classes. So we're using Echo Park / Cartabella these 3 months. So for March, April, and May. All right, so I found the other long strip of yellow, and I'm going to put that one down just right on the edge of the pattern paper over here. Okay. I just went right to the edge of the pattern paper, so it's cut to the same height that you did the cutting. So if you're like me where it's not exactly perfect, I'm just going to split. You know, if I have an overhang, I'll just split it so it hangs over a little rather than cut it. It's not that important to me. All right, this piece, what we had you do during prep work is I had you take this carrot die and I had you just draw it on there like with a pencil, which I did a really poor job of erasing, I can see already. So let me see if I can find a white eraser. Would be even better. I don't think I'm going to see it, but I'm just going to go ahead and take my pencil line off. A bit better there. Okay, so I had you kind of trace and then cut with scissors that shape so that when we assemble and put the carrot border on, that we don't, you know, it kind of follows the paper and that there's no pink paper showing between the carrots. I just thought that was kind of a cool look. So I'll put my paper on. I'm just going to butt that right up to that yellow strip. Okay, and then let's put together that carrot border. All right, so the carrot border that came out of the Easter border set, what you do with that one is you cut the entire border out of your carrot color, which is orange in this case, and then there is a separate die in the set that will cut you 6 little stems. So you just cut those out of green. Now I could have made those stickers. I didn't have you make them stickers. I just said we'll glue them on. So see, there's the difference. Now you got to go through and fish out, you know, and find them. Whereas if we'd made those stickers, they would all just been on one sheet. So sometimes it's worth it to do the double-sided adhesive tape just for, you know, ease. Alrighty, let's see. These are all the same. They're all the same stem. So it doesn't, you know, there's not one that goes in a particular spot or anything like that. Now, if you are a person that likes to use either tweezers or like a quick stick, you can use a tool to pick up those stems. Put those on. Okay. Then you'll see that carrot border kind of come to life with the addition of those stems. The other thing is with dies, I mean, you're using a lot of your scraps. So you can just make a whole card just out of your scrap bin, you know, because you don't need very much when you're doing things like this. That's good. So I mentioned during prep work, but I know some of you all don't watch the prep work video because you've been doing these long enough that you can just get all your prep work done off of the handout. That a mere 2 days after getting home from that cruise, on the day of our new release, so February 13th, which was the day that our new release was being sneak peeked, I was up bright and early and missed the bottom step of my staircase in my bare feet and just kind of wily coyoted myself right off that second stair and onto my hard tile floor. And I mean, I went down, and when the pain subsided and I got up and tried to walk or whatever, I was like, yeah, there's something horribly wrong. So I broke my foot. My foot is in a boot right now. And I broke my right foot, which is my driving foot. So I can't drive. So I'm sure lucky that I work from home. And that, you know, my daughter is really helping out with the driving, and my husband obviously and stuff. So yeah, I haven't been doing anything. My friends, I went out to lunch with a friend and she came and picked me up. So yeah. So that's, anyway, I've got another couple. Well, let's see, what's this? This is on March 9th. I've got one more week. At the time you watch this, I have one more week in the boot. And then And then now, let me tell you something. I don't know if your carrots are going to go up and down like this, or if your carrot's going to go this way. It's going to be whichever way it fits the way you cut your paper, right? Because it depended on which side you had up when you traced it. Okay, so it does not matter. It will look just as lovely if the carrots are pointing downward as the carrots pointing upward. It absolutely does not matter. It's just whichever way it fits, how you traced the die. Okay, and then what I would do is just glue that on there, and then we'll cut off the excess. Ooh, if we want it to match, I guess I probably should have put that on the paper before, but that's okay. If we want it to match the paper instead of going all the way off the, I think it'll be fine. Just let's not put glue on the end of the carrot and the last stem so that we can cut it to match the paper. So that's how I'm going to do it. I think it'll be easier then. Okay, so I'm just going in with my glue, and I'm going to stop short of the last stem at the bottom and the point at the top because my carrots are pointing upwards. If yours were pointing downwards, that might be different. And then I'm just going to go in there and find a spot where it kind of matches the paper, just hugs along the edge of the paper. Okay, so kind of a cool look. Okay. I was having like such trouble several months ago with the camera that I was using with washing out the colors on the camera. And I just could, I was Googling it. I could not get it fixed. And so I ended up buying a different camera, which has been much better. And with the old camera, I also had an issue with the autofocus. It was just going in and out of focus all the time, all the time, all the time. And so I ended up just turning the autofocus off. And I had to remember that my field of focus was like from here to here. Like if I went all the way up to the camera, it would never refocus because I had turned it off. But with this camera, I've had better luck with it. You can see if I get close to the camera, it'll take a second, but it will focus in on it. And I found that is even though sometimes because I move fast, it'll lose its focus for a second, it has overall been much better. So I'm going to leave that autofocus on because I do like being able to get real close to the camera and have it focus in. And you'll just have to forgive those little jumps, at time when it's trying to figure out what to focus on because I moved too fast, which does happen. All right, let's talk about this Happy Easter. So with Happy Easter, there's just 2 dies in that set. It's just the Happy Easter and the shadow. And what I thought might look nice would be to do a little 2 of the Happy Easters over the top of each other where one's just offset a smidge for a drop shadow. And then put that onto the actual full shadow. I'm just weeding out my piece here. Okay, so I decided on, I didn't weed this one yet either, sorry. Something to weed with. I think I even said during class prep work, I was like, oh, I'll weed that out before class day. So you don't have to watch me do it, and then I'm just making you sit here and watch me do it. Okay. So I decided to do white over purple. I think it would look nice either way. But I think the white over purple is going to give you the biggest contrast. So what I would do for that is when you glue the white over the purple, you're going to offset the purple at a little slight diagonal. Now, does it have to be bottom right? No, I tend to always do it that way, but it could be top left. It doesn't really matter. I tend to always do slide it bottom right. So it doesn't really matter which, does the adhesive go on the back of the white or does it go on the top of the purple? It doesn't really matter. But dry clear glue is really nice for this because, because of the drop shadow, you might have a little glue, especially if you're sliding it around, to get a good placement. You might definitely want to glue that dries clear. Alrighty, so I'm going to start with that H. I'm just looking at that, but I've got a little diagonal started, and then I just kind of work my way across, just sliding as necessary to where I get that little slight drop shadow. Maybe it will make it look good as if I put it against the actual shadow. See that little shadow? Okay, and then the next step will be to go ahead and glue the Happy Easter to the shadow. Okay, there's Happy Easter. And that can glue here to the left side of the card, wherever you want it to go. Wherever you want it at whatever angle. So if you think it looks cute at an angle, you can absolutely do that. Okay, and remember, you're in control. You can pause. Pause if you need to pause. Pause if you need to mouse. I'm just kind of working my way left to right here across this card, getting the pieces on. We're getting close. We're getting close to making a bunny. We're getting close to bunny time. All right, so what these pieces are going to be is we're going to layer the bunny paper over the slightly larger pink paper. We're going to glue those together, and then when we put these on the card, we're just going to use some foam tape or pop dots at the top and bottom only, so that we will be able to slide the bunny underneath those strips to hold the bunny in the card. Okay, so the purpose of those is to hold the bunny in the card so that it doesn't fly out at someone's face when they open the card. All right, so first things first is to glue the bunny paper to the wider pink strip. Now, in all these cases, you can ink edges and do things like that if you're an inker sort of person. I don't typically do a lot of inking in my pop-up card classes, and mainly just because, you kind of gotta, you sort of have to pick your techniques with classes. People have only so much brain power, that they can dedicate to you. And so if I'm teaching kind of a cool pop-up technique, then I kind of leave the inking to everybody's individual creativity, and I don't take extra time out of class and stuff, to do a bunch of inking. But you can absolutely do that if that's something that you like. All right, foam tape, pop dots, doesn't really matter the width or the height or anything like that. I've got these hexagons here, so I'm just going to put them at the top and the bottom. So just trying to elevate that strip so that I can slide that oval underneath it. Okay, so there's one right here. I'm just going to go right to the edge of the card. To the paper. Okay. All right, so see, I can still get my bunny underneath there. And then this one. Again, right to the edge of the paper is what I'm doing on that. Okay, so I might suggest when you get over here to the flap of your tag that you get your pieces kind of ready sort of to just, we probably want to put the bunnies on first, and then we can put the oval and the crook of the bunnies, and then we can put, I actually put this one in the gusset. You see, I actually put that in between the two folds. So actually we can put that one on. That one won't matter. Okay, so that yellow stripe is going right down in the gusset of the tag. So don't cover any folds because you still want to be able to fold on both, but it's in there in the gusset. Okay, and then between this, we're going to do bunnies. All right, so we really only needed 3 bunnies. There are 6 bunnies on the border, and so what you can do is cut it in half essentially, and then we're just going to layer one over the top of the other, and then we'll have a nice little thicker bunny border to put right here. Okay. Now, if you want to, well, you know what, let's glue it together first. I mentioned during the prep work video that I made my pop-up bunny have a black nose. And often I've done that with a pink nose. And I mentioned during prep work that you could have chosen to swap it out and do a pink nose instead. But that the reason that I had done a black nose is that the bunnies in the paper had black noses. So you can see in the paper there's some black noses on the bunnies, and so I was just kind of matching that. And so I actually did that on this border as well. So we stenciled the eyes on during prep work because we had the die, and so we just used the die as a stencil, and we stenciled on the eyes. Now there is no stencil for the nose. Typically I don't actually put a nose on these bunnies. I don't know why. I guess I just don't think of it. But to make it match our big bunny, this time I did. So I'm just going to take a black pen and go in and just add a little black nose to the bunnies. I don't know how easy that is to see. Can you see that black nose? Anyway. All right, so these bunnies have a natural curve to them, but to fit our tag, you know, we're going to need to get a greater curve in them. So you can actually just bend them more, you know, curve them more in between the bunnies so that they have a greater arc. And then to make them fit on here so that you have room for the oval, which is where you're going to sign the card. You know what I mean? You just may want to kind of place the oval and figure out like, all right, well, if I do this angle, you know, what seems to work well is, yeah, so if ears are kind of up into these little bulbs of your outer things, that seems to be a good spot. I just say, oh, down here. Right. Okay, so I'm going to put that bunny there, and this bunny over here, and this bunny's going to end up where it ends up. Okay, something like that. Okay, and then that pre-cut oval just as a place to sign the card. There we go. Alrighty. Oh, I have an extra. Oh no, that's because I cut it off that came off the end of the carrot border. All right, so I think we have everything now ready. Yep. For our bunny construction. Okay, fabulous. All right, let's talk about bunnies. You can put this little guy away, actually. All right, so remember I mentioned that I didn't know which I gave you the choice of which ball to use. The assembly of it is the same regardless of which ball you used. Okay, and if you're one that you're going to do both, you know, the assembly is going to be the same. Doesn't matter. Just the only thing that changes is the size. Okay, so I ended up just doing mini again because this is the original that I did, and I usually like to make my class day one match my original. Okay, so I ended up doing mini for all of it, but you could have done bitty. Now, if you did mini for all of it, then one of the things you have for mini balls, or maybe you did it for the head, is 8 of your trapezoids are a little bit bigger because there's a die in that mini ball set that's called an inside trapezoid, and it cuts 2 of those trapezoids, and they're just a little bit bigger. If you're doing the bitty ball for both of yours, then all your trapezoids are the same size. It doesn't matter. But if you're doing the mini ball, I need you to find the 8 that are a little bit bigger, okay? Because they'll look weird if you end up putting those on the outside of the ball and they don't match the others. So go ahead and find your 8 larger trapezoids, because those are going to go inside the ball. If you are using only the bitty ball, then you're just going to find 8 trapezoids, any trapezoid, because all of yours are the same size, unless you use the double up and you cut inside trapezoids. So if you have 2 size trapezoids, find 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm missing 1, that one's small. Find the 8 that are bigger. Where's the bigger one? Okay, so then you should have 24. You should have 24 that are the smaller size. The outside ones. Yeah, those are all. Okay, I don't need those yet. I'm just, okay, so you need the 8 that are going to go inside the ball. That's going to be the first thing we're going to do. All right, so first things first, what is supremely important when you're putting together a ball die is that you start from identical pieces, okay? So what do I mean by that? First things first, let me get out any confetti that's still stuck in there, okay? All right, so what I mean by that is you need to put 2 ball halves over the top of each other, and you need to line absolutely everything up. And that means the holes are in the same position and the cuts are in the same position. Everything lines up absolutely perfectly, okay? And then once you've done that, and usually that's going to be where you can see the score lines the easiest, okay? That's the top of the piece, and you want 2 that are absolutely identical in all ways. All right, and once you've discovered that they're absolutely identical in all ways, then you can separate them. Don't flip one over and put yourself an X or something on the top so that you don't get one flipped over, okay? So what happens if you don't start with identical pieces? So that basically you had, and can you see, even on my camera, you can probably see the difference between the front and the back of a die cut piece, okay? That the back of it is it's probably gonna have some scratches in it from your cutting pads. You know, the pieces are rounded up instead of rounded down, and you cannot see the score lines very well, okay? So you really like this side better. But let's say you weren't paying attention and you think, oh, well, these are the same. They line up, but look, they don't because the cut is on the opposite side of that one. See? Those don't line up. Those are not identical. Everything has to be identical. And if they are not identical, if you have one flipped over and you put it together, what's going to end up happening is your tabs are going to be against tabs when we go to put it together, and you can't have that. You have to have your tabs opposite each other so that they can each attach to the other ball. Okay, so that's why it is supremely important that you start from identical pieces, meaning that they're both oriented the same way. And for me, that means I can see the score lines the easiest. Okay, let's do that with the second one too, whichever ball you're using. Go ahead and start out by making sure that they are identical. So same side up, cuts, slits, everything lines up. Okay, and then just go ahead and mark an X on the top so that you know which side is the top. All right, cool. All right, we're going to do a little bit kind of assembly lining because we got 2 balls to make. The first thing you do when you're assembling any of our ball dies is that you look for the little wings, the little pieces that are 2 of the sides, the ones that have the holes in them, have got wings on the side, and those fold away from you, away from the X to the back, to the inside of the ball. Okay, so those are going to be reinforcing tabs that are going to strengthen up that ball. I love to use really strong 100 or 110 pound smooth cardstock. These are for strength, these little wings. So we're going to glue them down inside the ball. And when I say glue them down, glue them down. See, not just a little, it's not decorative, it's strength. So go ahead and coat them with adhesive, fold them over, hold them down. Now, some people love to use clips, like chip clips and things where they can, you know, whether you're making a ton of balls where you can just kind of clip things and move on. But if your glue sets up pretty quickly, which the Limeco does, you know, it doesn't take that long just to hold them. All right, so we're going to glue those wings down. Okay, move on to the next one. I fold away from myself, away from the X, towards the inside of the ball. Okay. Glue those down. You are in control of the pause button, so don't let me speed ahead of you. Now, ball dies, once you get real used to them, these are great to do in front of the TV. They're just, die cut a bunch of ball dies and get yourself like a little lap tray or something that you can press against. I have like one of those little lap desks, it's like kind of a beanbag underneath, and then it's hard on top, and that works great. And I sit there and just assemble dies. So if you wanted to make a bunch of bunny rabbits or chicks or something like that, you could watch some TV. Now let's go ahead and do the second ball too. So we're going to do the wings, folding away from myself into the inside of the ball. Okay, last one. So the original assembly, the surprise ball was the first one that we came out with, and I just had you put a single rubber band inside each ball, and that's how I kind of taught the assembly on it. And a single rubber band is fine. That's enough reinforcing for it. But now my best practice as assembly on the ball dies is actually to put 2 rubber bands inside each ball. I think that it gives them better spring, and it gives them just a little bit more longevity, because rubber bands don't last forever. So, you know, they kind of keep their spring a little bit better too. But what I noticed is when putting 2 rubber bands inside the ball, then I didn't want all this area as a single layer. I really wanted it to be doubled. And so that's when I started putting an extra trapezoid inside the ball so that it could accommodate 2 rubber bands. So we're now inside the ball. So the way you can tell that you're inside the ball is that you can see those flaps that you just glued down. And what we're going to do with those ones that have the flaps on them is we're just going to fold at the base enough to where we can see it. Okay, so I'm not talking about folding over and pinching it and getting a bone folder out and all that kind of stuff. I'm just bringing it up a little bit. Bring it up a little bit just so you can see the line. Okay, and if you want to flip it around and find the line for the tab too, this long tab is going to fold to the inside of the ball. And now you can really see, I'll do that on this side too. Now you can really see the area for the trapezoid. See? So we're going to set those reinforcing trapezoids down inside and glue those inside the ball so that this will actually be, you know, kind of triple layer. Now, if you are using the mini ball and you have cut the little bit larger trapezoids, then you can just go ahead and center those in that space because they're mostly going to fill it. Okay? If you are using the bitty ball, which didn't come with a set of slightly larger inside trapezoids, so you're just using the decorator ones inside. So I'm going to say, if you're a bitty ball user, then when you glue your trapezoids in, I want you to cheat towards the inside fold, okay? Because I want this area right here to get that reinforcing. That is the most important spot for me, that gets reinforced, less important than up here next to this fold, okay? So for those of you using just the bitty, I would suggest, see how I'm going to leave all my extra over here, and I'm going to come right up to that fold, or close, on this side, okay? That's if you're a bitty ball person. If you're using the mini, then you know, I kind of just designed it to fill that space, right? So you can just do it like that. All right, so we're going to glue those reinforcing inside trapezoids inside the ball. And again, this is for strength, so go ahead and shellac it. Just don't cross any folds. Just come up to the fold. Again, getting close to the fold in the you know, closest to the hole is where you're going to get the most bang for your trapezoid is going to be on that inside edge there. Okay, those are the only 2 that need it, because this is where the rubber band's going to stretch across. These don't get rubber bands, so you don't need any inside trapezoids for those. Okay? All right, carry on. We'll do the next one. Fold that up just a bit, just a smidge. Okay? The popped up position for this ball is that fold never goes any further than just to kind of sit like a little bowl like this, right? So there's absolutely no reason to weaken that fold by folding it over and pinching it and getting a bone folder out. You can always fold it more later if you needed to, you know, if you felt like the ball was a little lethargic and you wanted to make it, you know, take a little bit of the tension out of the fold, you could do that. But for now, it's just enough to see it. You know, that's all you're trying to do, is just put it where you can see it. Okay, again, fold that long fold as well. Okay, same thing over here. Now, inside trapezoids really don't have to be the same color as the ball. You don't see them, they're inside the ball. So that is a spot if you know, find that you're running short on the heavy 100-pound cardstock that you used for the ball. It's not like you couldn't just go to your scrap bin and find any other color cardstock to use for those inside ones, because you really don't see them inside there. I just find it's easiest to cut them at the same time as the ball half, so that's why I do it that way. All right, ball number 3, or ball half number 3. Like this. Okay, so where I am in my house, my office is at the front of the house. Um, and I have a little bay window like right over there, and that's where my computer is. And so I open up the blinds on the bay window most days, and I can look out in the front, yard, and there's squirrels that scamper around in the trees outside and all that stuff. So it's always something interesting to see. It's a pretty quiet neighborhood, but whatever. The school bus is really fast though, y'all. I mean, I don't want to be that kind of Karen, but let me tell you, I'm not pleased with how fast the school bus goes through our neighborhood. 3:30 comes around. But anyway, point is, that's not the important part of the story. Important part of the story is one day this week, I just caught out of the corner of my eye some motion, and it looked like the rear end of a cat. I don't have a cat. A cat kind of like going onto my front porch where I couldn't see it anymore. And I'm in a boot, right? I can't, you know what, I'm going to get you to the next step before I continue on this story. So pause that for a second. Cat, I think I have seen the rear half of a cat disappearing out of my sight and onto my front porch. Okay, pause there. When we get into doing trapezoids, then I'll tell you the rest of the story. All right, so we have all of our inside trapezoids put inside the ball halves. All right, we've worked the folds on the side that have those, but we haven't worked the folds for any of the other ones, okay? So once again, when we go around the hexagon at the bottom, you're just looking for a finger fold, meaning you're just looking to break the fold to get it to essentially the shape of a ball. You are not looking to just keep on going and pinch it and bone fold it and all that kind of stuff, all right? So just a kind of a finger fold to kind of create the shape of half the ball. And then these little half tabs, they fold inside the ball as well. Now these ones you can pinch, okay? Those little half tabs, feel free. Feel free to pinch those really well, okay? But the ones at the bottom where the hexagon is, I don't pinch them. Okay, there's half the ball. And we're going to do that on all of them. Okay, back to my cat story. So I'm in this boot, right? So I'm not moving super fast, but I was like, oh, cat, I don't see very many cats. I don't know why, but I just don't see a lot of cats in the neighborhood or anything. Maybe people have inside cats. I don't know. Anyway, I don't see a lot of cats. So I thought, oh my gosh, there's a cat on my porch. I'm going to go, see that cat. So I hobble. It's not very far. Like I can make it from here to my front door even with a boot on in like, I don't know, 10 seconds. Maybe 15. I don't know. Anyway, point is, there's no cat. I open my front door. I have it on the Ring doorbell because, of course, I had to go check the Ring doorbell because I have to see if there's footage of this cat. And there's no cat. And I hobble out onto the porch and I'm looking everywhere like, where'd the cat go? Where'd the cat go? And so I'm forced to just believe that I saw a ghost cat. Or maybe I didn't see a cat at all, but I cannot even think of what optical illusion could have happened to make me think, it's not like I see cats every day, that there was a back half of this cat going onto my porch. So anyway, I was regaling my business partner Tanya with the ghost cat story. I was like, check the Ring doorbell, there's no cat. Pause again. I'll tell you the rest of the ghost cat story after we get to the next thing. I'm sorry, that's annoying. I'm so sorry. Okay. But I want to keep this thing going. Some of you are watching this and you're not crafting with me and you just want to like see how the project goes. So I don't want to pause and just tell a story. There's plenty of time when we go to add these trapezoids to this side of the thing. There'll be plenty more time for the rest of the cat story. Okay, so here's what we want to do. We want to take these two balls and we want to find a side that has a cut and a hole. And we want to find another one that has a cut and a hole. And we want to hold them next to each other so that when we glue them together, the hole will line up and the cut will line up. Okay, so how do you know if you have it wrong? Okay, let me turn that around and you can see the difference. So see, this would be wrong because these will, when we glue those together, the holes will line up, but the cut will not. So if you have this situation, you need to turn one to the other side, not both, right? In other words, one to the other side will solve your problem. And it wouldn't have to be this one. You could just as easily turn to this one around to the other side. And that will solve the problem. Okay. So we're going to kiss connection those two long tabs together. So what I mean by that is we're going to put adhesive everywhere, like this. Okay, and then we're going to kiss that to the other one. And I'm inside the ball now just looking at corners. So I'm looking at this corner, I'm looking at this corner. I'm trying to make sure that those are connected straight, and I'm looking right here. I'm like, oh, does this look straight? Because the straighter the ball, the better the performance. Okay, so this is a precision die cut that you do want to attach things straight. Okay, so I'm in there. I've got those pinched together. See, it's like kind of like a little butterfly if I held it by that. I like to do this just to make sure that I've sealed it all the way out to that thing, is I just let that shelf go to one side or the other. So let's say I'm going to go that side. Then I can pinch against it. See, I've just let it lay down flat so I can pinch against it. And then I go the other way. I'm going to flip it to the other side, lay down flat, pinch against it. And that way I can really tell that I've gotten my glue kind of all the way out to the edge, and that's nicely secured together. Okay, so kiss connection, and then inside the cut and the hole all line up. And we're going to do that again with this one. All right, so the first thing I do is I look for two sides that have the cut and the slit. I put them in a position where they're mirror image from each other. If it is not mirror image, then I need to flip one around. Okay. Then I'm putting the adhesive on the pretty side, right? Because we're kiss connecting those into, so this is the pretty side of the ball, the side that has the X. I'm putting the adhesive on that tab. And then I'm going to kiss connection it to the other ball half. I'm looking inside and I'm lining up corners. And this is why I really love glue for this, because if you were using tape, it would not be easy to slide it around and make sure that it lines up really well on the inside. Okay. Once I got it to where I think it's lined up real well, then I pinch with the shelf going one way, and then I flip the shelf to the other side, and I pinch with the shelf going the other way. Okay. And now I've got those connected. All right. There's my two balls. Now, those of you who are doing both sizes, you might have one that's this size and one that's 20% larger, but you know, whatever you have, they look like this. Now, before we continue on with the assembly of these, then let's go ahead and add all of those decorator trapezoids and the hexagons. So you should have 4 hexagons as well. Okay, and we're going to glue hexagons over the X's. Okay, centered in those, and we're going to do trapezoids on all 24 of these spots, and those are just going to center. Those are decorative on the outside, so we're going to have kind of a little tone-on-tone action going here with our decorator trapezoids and our decorator hexagons on all sides. Now, people always ask, well, could I leave off the hexagon that's on the bottom here and the top here and the bottom here? I mean, technically, yeah, but it's so much easier just to have a nice balanced ball by having, you know, equal weight on all sides, and you know, it's just a small amount of cardstock. So I generally just, and then you don't have to figure it out. You don't have to figure out what's the top of the bunny and what's the bottom, and you know, so it's just easier just to add them everywhere. So don't worry about covering up the hole. We're not actually putting this ball together to be on a brad. So the reason there's holes on the hexagon side is because one way that you can assemble the balls is to actually put a brad in the bottom of your animal. And then when you attach it with a brad into your card, then you can spin the animal around on the brad. But kind of my new favorite way is actually just to attach the animal to a bigger item like an oval that can just get trapped somewhere so that the ball is removable, so that the animal's removable. And that really was, you know, from our pop-up peeps. So we have a Facebook group called the Karen Burniston Pop-Up Peeps, and they always have good ideas and stuff. And so one of the peeps had mentioned that her grandkids really liked the animals she was making, but they wanted to be able to take them out of the card. So I started teaching them with the oval or some other shape. You could do some other, just some kind of shape that you can trap beneath something. Okay, so I started with the hexagons, and then I'm just going to do all my trapezoids. And again, I'm just centering them, not worrying about the hole at all. It just gets covered up. Okay, so we're on the pretty side on the outside of the ball as we do these, and I'll start doing that. Okay, back to my ghost cat story. So yes, so I think that I have seen a ghost cat. Well, I mean, I don't think that really. I don't really have an explanation for it. I mean, on the one hand, I would say, well, yeah, the cat could have just darted away by the time I got to the front door, except for when I checked the footage, there was no cat. So it must have been an optical illusion of some sort. But when I was telling Tanya about the ghost cat, and I said, yeah, but here's what's weird. I said, I had seen, because this rear end of this cat that I thought I saw disappearing around the edge and onto the front porch was a dark colored cat, so like it wasn't a squirrel. I can tell you that. I mean, I see plenty of squirrels. Also, no squirrel showed up in the Ring doorbell. But anyway, so the the cat was like a dark colored cat, and it reminded me that I had seen, again, I'm just Miss Scrabbitzing right out this bay window every day, is I had seen a dark colored cat, like a black cat, crossing the street the other day. And I remember just mildly thinking, like, oh, I wonder whose cat that is, because I don't see that many cats. And we have relatively new neighbors across the street. And so I just remember, like, in my mind going, like, oh, I wonder if that's the neighbor's cat, I don't know. And I didn't think anything more about that cat. Then, once I saw the back half of a dark colored cat that didn't exist, then I started worrying that maybe that cat didn't exist. Like maybe I saw the ghost cat once before and it had crossed the street, and no way if anybody else saw that cat. I have no idea. So now I'm like, anyway, now by this time, Tanya's rolling on the floor and I'm talking to her about these ghost cats. So yesterday, my husband and I were going somewhere. He's driving, of course, because I cannot. And so we're outside getting ready to get in the car. And my husband says, hey, Karen, there's a cat. Like over in the green space, like across the street, like kind of actually near my neighbor's house. So I think maybe it is their cat. And I said, oh my gosh, you saw the cat. You saw the cat. And he's like, yeah. I said, where is it? Where is it? So anyway, there was a cat. There was a real honest to goodness cat. And so I don't know what I saw as far as the back half of the cat. That part is still a mystery, but I feel pretty confident that the one I saw crossing the street was a real, actual, honest to goodness cat. So I don't know. I haven't had a cat. Oh my goodness. And we have dogs. Well, now I only have one dog. So we lost sweet Lucy at the end of August. But we still have Katie. She's 15. She's deaf. She's a pug beagle mix. And she mostly sleeps, but she's still with us. Sweet Katie. And I don't know when, I never say never, but I feel like we might have to have a break from sort of the heartbreak of dogs when they get old and you lose them. So hard. Anyway, I'm gonna lose Kitty. But I haven't had a cat since I was a kid. So we had cats when I was a kid, but not as an adult. So maybe my next pet will be a cat. Maybe that's what the cat is trying to tell me. Maybe it's like a sign. But I like cats. I don't have anything against cats. All right, so I still have to do these ones. The longest Zoom class I ever taught, because that's the thing about Zoom classes. This is going to be, I can tell already, this is going to be a long YouTube video because we're still on card one. But that's what happens when you do balls as part of a class, just because they just take longer, because you got to put all the decorator pieces on. But anyway, the longest class, Zoom class I ever taught was, we did, oh my gosh, y'all. We did Santa and Mrs. Claus out of the balls. So that meant 4 balls to assemble and decorate with all those pieces to turn them into Santa and Mrs. Claus. And I mean, it was an adorable card, but it took, it was just hours and hours. And we still did a second card. Then we did like a gingerbread house for the second card, gingerbread pop-up house. And that had all the little gumdrops and that, oh, Lord, can't even tell you. That was how many hours that class was. And some of the ladies, they didn't even bail. They just stuck with me the whole day, and we got them both done. But even when you send out the recording on that one, it's like, here's your class. It's 8 hours long, or whatever it was, 6 hours long. So yeah, sometimes the Zoom classes go pretty long, but they're being recorded. So if you can't stay for the whole time, you could just catch the recording. So, but what's nice about the Zoom classes too is that you can stop me. So, and then people, it just becomes like a little bit of a camaraderie thing, because ladies are there from, and well, so far it's been only ladies, but never say never. and they show, like, we have a break between cards, so we take like a 15-minute break between cards, and people show the cards that they've been working on and stuff, and someone always makes like a really cool creative choice of the cards that we're actually making, and then we'll highlight that person, and they'll say, oh, well, I chose to put my, did this with my carrot border or whatever, and it's really cool. It's a cool thing. So you should definitely join us on the Zoom if that's something you think you'd be interested in. It's just like this, but live. But everything else is the same. So you get your prep work video 10 days before class, and you do all your prep work and all that kind of stuff. So. But it's fun. We have fun. One more trapezoid. Okay, I have all of my trapezoids and hexagons on, so now I am ready to assemble the ball. So when possible, I do like to put those decorator pieces on, because then I can really make sure that the tension of the rubber bands is proper for a decorated ball. So if I put the ball together and I don't put all of those decorator pieces on, then maybe I end up making it a little too loose, you know what I mean? Because like it's springing up based on just a single layer of cardstock, but really I know that it's going to be a double layer, so that's why I like to do it that way. All right, I also have a new favorite rubber band for the mini ball. So let's talk about rubber bands. So prior to this, I have always recommended the Alliance Soft Stretch number 12 rubber bands, okay? Soft Stretch, pale crepe gold. You can buy like a little baggie of those from us on our website. It has about 50 rubber bands in it. Okay, or you can get a giant box of them on Amazon. So that's number 12 soft stretch, and I pretty much made that size work for all of the balls. So that works great in the surprise ball. That works great in the bitty ball. And then when we got down to the mini ball, the way that I've always taught it in classes is if you're using those 12 soft stretch, then to get your tension increased for the mini ball, which is the smallest ball, then I have you wrap that band around it and back in the hole again. And that I have found it stresses the students out. That whole stretching the band around, if they can't do it, like it's easy on the first one, but then when you get the ball put together and you're trying to reach in there and wrap that band around, they end up sometimes tearing this little shelf, or it bends and it gets weak, or the bands fly out of the hole. So that wrapping around the shelf has not proved something that people love. So I ordered in some number 12 firm stretch rubber bands specifically for the mini ball. And I thought, well, let's try those in the mini ball and see if it'll work without having to wrap around the shelf. And I love them. They're perfect for the mini ball. And I found that if your cardstock is heavy enough, which this cardstock is, you can actually use the firm stretch ones even in the bitty ball, the next size up. Or maybe in the bitty ball you want to do a combo. I've done that too, where you do one soft, one firm in the bitty ball. So I'm going to let you all decide that. But as you're looking at the rubber bands that came in your kit, what I asked the kit makers to do is I asked them to give you 6 firm stretch and 6 soft stretch. Now you can tell those apart because the soft stretch are a more yellowy color than the firm stretch, and the soft stretch, you can just feel the difference in the stretch. The one that gives you more resistance is the firm stretch. Okay, if you are like me doing mini balls, or if you're doing a mini ball for the head, I'm going to suggest that you use 2 firm stretch number 12s. Okay, so those are the more brown of the 2, not the yellowy one, the firm stretch. Okay, you can put 2 of those around your finger, and what you want to do is you want to take those 2 rubber bands down through that slot until they click into that hole. Okay, all right, so then now they're just going to be hanging out of the hole. So you've got 2 rubber bands just kind of hanging out of the hole. It's important that they're in the hole. Okay, so I'm going to take that out again and do that again. All right. It's important that this shelf stays nice and strong. Okay, so we don't want to bend it to get them in there. What we really want is we want to take 2 rubber bands, put them around your finger like that, like you're cutting like a knife, right down through the slit until it clicks into the hole. Okay, try to keep this shelf intact, okay, and not weakened. All right, so once you get in on, you know what, I'll do that on the other one too. So now if you were doing bitty balls, I would do either 2 soft stretches or a firm and a soft. You could try a firm and a soft. on your bitty ball. Let's see if I can tell what's in these. Okay, actually this one, that bitty ball, I think that's got 2 firms in it. Let's look at these. I think this one has a firm and a soft, if I'm reading those colors correctly. You might be able to do 2 firms in the bitty ball too, but you may want to try just one of each in your bitty balls. If you're doing mini balls, you're going to do 2 firms. Okay, we're going to do that with the second one. So again, I've got 2 of the, in my case, 2 firm stretch because I'm doing mini balls. Okay, I'm going to find the shared slit, like I'm cutting like a knife, right down and click into that hole. Okay. All right, and then everything that's left, all the rest of your rubber bands, that's for your future projects. So we always put extra in there in case you lose one or whatever, but you only need those 4 rubber bands to do it. All right, so what we want to do, okay, let me try it this way. There's different ways to do this. Some people, I mean, I've actually seen people teach the balls this way, where they just glue the other rubber band side together and they stretch this across and into it, and then they do all of their half tabs afterwards. That's not my favorite assembly. My favorite assembly is to work halfway around the ball to the other side, glue this together, leave these 2 sides open so that I can reach my hand in there and stretch those rubber bands across. Because if I have half that ball put together, then I can check the tension on it before I finish assembly, so that if I have to change something, if I have to take one of the rubber bands out and trade it for a tighter or a looser rubber band, you know, whatever needs to happen, I can do that. And so that's how I like to do my assembly. And that's the way I'm going to teach it. Okay, so you see where the cut is? The cut's on this side over here. The cut's on that same side over there. All right, so that means that we need to go around this way, opposite the cut, assembling that ball so that when the side that we want to leave open, okay, is this side, all right? So, I mean, even if you said, okay, here's the side of the cut, you know, you could even just give yourself a little pencil mark on those 2 and say, that's or X, you know, don't stop. These are not the way to go. You know what I mean? Because inevitably we always have a student that like doesn't go the right way when they're doing it, and then they have to try and reach in and put the rubber band through from the other side. It's really difficult. Okay, yeah, no. So if the slit's on this side, then we're going this way, assembling the ball. Okay, so what do I mean by that? We're going this way. So that means this side's got to attach to this side. So I'm going to flip the ball over, okay, and I'm going to attach where these 2 half tabs are, okay? And notice they don't have little X's on them. Those are the ones over here. If I get those X's, I'm like, no, not that way, not that way. Okay, so these are the 2 that I'm trying to work on. All right, this is my favorite. I just put my finger where I can rest both half tabs on top of my finger, okay? And then I grab my glue and I add my glue to those 2 half tabs. They are not connecting to each other. Those tabs are not connecting to each other. They are folding into the ball, sitting side by side, and each one will connect to the other half of the ball. And what you are looking to do is have very straight corners here. You want this straight, as straight as you can get it, okay? To really work on those corners. That's why glue is the best for this, so that you have a chance to slide things around, okay? What has just happened is 1 half tab glued to one ball and the other half tab glued to the other ball. See? See it right in there. That's what we just did, all right? Now we're going to the next one. Again, I just put my finger underneath the 2 half tabs like this, okay? They're resting on my finger, and that way I can add my glue. Again, I'm shellacking this. This is dry as clear glue, so I'd rather a little glue squished out and I rubbed it away than I would not have enough glue to really have that be a strong hold. Okay, so I've got glue on my half tabs. I let those sit side by side. And I am looking at straight corners. Okay, I want that really, really well secured, and I want that straight. Everything should be nice and straight. If glue squishes out, I just wipe it away. Okay. All right, you see how this ball is coming together. All right, now we've worked our way around to our other kiss connection. So see, these ones, if you remember, they both fold in and they just glue to each other like this. All right, so in that case, we don't need the glue on both. We really just need the glue on one. Doesn't matter which one, but you want the glue everywhere. like this. I'm going to fold those two in. And once again, I am looking at corners. That's going to be thick. You'll definitely see the thickness difference in that. See? But I am looking to have that be nice and straight. Because the better that I line these up on these corners, the better I know that the cut and the hole on the inside are lining up as well. Okay. And now I have worked my way halfway around the ball to where I can reach in, and because, let me make sure that isn't glued down. Yep. And because the cut is on this side, it's going to be easy for me to stretch those rubber bands across and into that hole. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to reach in there, grab my two rubber bands. Once again, I'd like to treat them like a unit. I'd like to work both of them at the same time. What's this one doing? All right, come here. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. I am going to get it. Okay, there. All right. So I've got both of the rubber bands around my finger. Okay. So once again, if I could do this kind of thing, I've got both rubber bands, I can, like a knife, I can slice right down through that hole until they're in the hole. I can hear them click in the hole. I don't want to let go until they're in the hole. Okay, so I just took both rubber bands, slid them right through the hole, right through the cut and into the hole. All right, now, sometimes you may find right now that one, it's not balanced, like there's a loosey-goosey side. This is pretty well balanced, but every once in a while you'll have one where, let's see if I can make it happen. You see that? Yeah, you don't want that. You want to have these be balanced. So pull them as necessary until it looks nice and balanced between the two sides, And you can also see what kind of spring you're getting. This is nice spring, right? Now, what would happen if it had just immediately inverted, and was inverted inside the ball? Well, then that would mean it was way too tight. If it inverts, then it's too tight. Now, it's not too tight if it's not inverted. So if it's standing up, sometimes I've had them like you're doing bitty balls. You may find that, especially if you're using those firm stretch or one of each, you may find that it's not inverted, but boy, it's like, it's not quite, it'll be fine. Once you put these together, it'll be fine. It'll come back out again. Okay, so as long as it's not inverted, it's fine. And if you've got good spring, which you should have with those firm stretch rubber bands, then you are ready to complete the assembly. Okay, and same thing with the bitty. So if you've got a good spring back on that ball, then you should be able to now finish out the assembly. Okay. All right, how do we finish out the assembly? Well, we're going to go back to the half tabs again. So now I'm going to flatten it. I'm going to hold it with my hand here while I get my finger underneath my two half tabs. It's going to fight you because it's going to try and come back on you. But we're going to hold that closed while we add adhesive to those two half tabs. Okay, once again, we want them next to each other, attaching to the other side of the ball. So we're back to half tabs again. And do your best to keep that ball closed while it gives you the best opportunity to get those straight and to get those really connected together. Okay, so see, I am just pinching that down so that it doesn't move. Okay, and then I'm going to go to my last one. Okay. I'm going to set those on my finger. I'm going to add my glue like this. And once again, I'm just looking at the corners, making sure that looks straight. Okay, once that glue sets up, I can let go. And there I have it. Cute little ball. And my bunny. My cute little bunny. Okay, so remember I told you that you don't have to work these folds like, with a bone folder or anything like that, because you always work them a little bit more later if you needed to. So I'm looking at mine and I'm like, okay, well, I might want that to actually spring together a little bit more, right? So I've got a fair bit of gaps. Now, two ways I could have done that. Like one is I could have tightened up the tension inside with the rubber bands, by, like I said, wrapping around a shelf or something. But But I don't think I need to do that. I think this is close enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work these folds around the hexagons, okay, so that they're just a little looser. And then can you see the difference? How it's snuggied it kind of up a little bit more. The other thing you can do with gaps, if you have a little gap like on this one, is you can bring one over the other, and then it kind of takes the gap away a little bit. Let's see this one. One over the other. I mean, don't get too crazy, but one over the other a little bit. So you can do a little adjustments and stuff, but see, that just made all the difference in that. So that's why I said don't work those folds so heavy at the beginning, because finger fold is all you need. And the only time you need to work them is if you actually want to loosen the ball up a little bit so that the rubber bands can pull it a little bit snugger. Okay, so that's the only time I would do that, is if I wanted it to snuggy up a little bit, which it did. Okay, I'm happy with that one. So now I'm going to do the next one. All right. Once again, I look to see where the cut is, and I want to go around the ball the other direction. And I'm going to attach half tabs. Now, see, it doesn't matter that, like, I don't know if you remember, but like, see, now I'm working in this direction, and before I was working in that direction. That just depends on which ones you glued together at the beginning. So obviously on that ball, I had glued these two together at the beginning. And so then the way I worked around the ball was clockwise. Okay, but now I always go opposite the slit. So I can't say you're always going clockwise. You might be going counterclockwise. So this time I'm going counterclockwise, like I'm going this way. Okay, the important thing is that you're working against where the cut is, not going in the direction of the cut. Okay, and I'm going to set those next to each other. Looking at corners. Okay, there are playing a ball videos and stuff. When you go onto our website, KarenBurniston.com, and you put in whichever ball that you have, the mini ball, the bitty ball, the surprise ball, you'll find videos on that page, you know. There's one that's called like best practices or best tips, I can't remember what I called it, where I make a bear out of the bitty ball and the surprise ball. And that was like the first video where I started saying, let's put 2 rubber bands in each one. But the mini ball, the actual assembly video for it, it always shows with 2 rubber bands, although it doesn't show with the firm stretch until this latest video. I just put up a video where I say my new favorite rubber bands for the mini ball, and I show those number 12 firm stretch. So, and it's got some good tips in that video too, so you can find good tips. But I mean, honestly, the best way to get good at these balls is just make them. As you make them and make them, you just get really, really good at them. And material makes a difference too, because 100 or 110 pound smooth is really your best bet for these ball dies. Okay, so I did half tab, just did full tab. Now I need to stop and get my rubber bands stretched across. Okay, so once again, I'm going to go in there, reach in. Oh, my rubber bands they just keep hiding from me. Okay, so let's get those around my finger. Okay, once again, I'm going to kind of stretch it where I can just cut like a knife right down through that slit and not stop until I click it into the hole. Don't let go till you click it into the hole. Okay, then I'm going to look and I'm going to see if that looks even. It does. Okay, I'm getting good spring back on that ball, so I can continue on with the assembly. So the first ball die that I ever did was with Sizzix, like way a long time ago. I'm going to say like 2008, 2009, something like that. It was a steel roll die. It was made a little differently. It wasn't half the ball like this because we weren't working wafer thin and we were working with steel roll dies, which are the big thick dies where the actual steel is actually put in wood, and you cannot get the tight tolerances that you can with a wafer thin die. So back then it was made a little differently. It cut like 1/2, like it would cut this piece with a tab, and then it had a hexagon. You had to cut multiples and assemble it. So the assembly was a little bit different, and it was a little bit bigger. Because really back then I was making pop-up dies a lot for like scrapbook layouts. That was really what was popular at the time, and kind of where I came from was doing scrapbook layouts with them. So you would put photographs on them, which is a fun thing to do with these balls, is to put photographs on them. Okay, so I've got another ball made. I've got a fair number of gaps here, so I think I am going to do that trick again where I flatten it, and then I'm going to work the hexagon folds around the ball just to make them a little looser, because then my rubber band will be able to pull it a little tighter. Yeah, see? Really tightened it up. And then the ones where there's a gap across from where the rubber bands are, you can kind of do that trick where you go over one side over the other. A gap here is a little hard to do because you got a shelf in there, unless you can do it. Yeah, that one's too hard to do. But it's usually the ones that are opposite the rubber bands. If that one has a gap, you can kind of go over the top of one like that. Okay. Cute, cute, cute. Cute, cute, cute. All right, I like it. I like it, I like it, I like it. Okay, so we are now going to glue these together and start making it into a bunny. Most of the work is done. just have to do bunny parts now for our ball. Okay, let's see if I can get that. All right, so what I like to do is I like to look for the rubber band side, and that's the one where you did the kiss connection, and you can tell because it's the thicker, you can just really see how it's thick in there. And these ones, the half tabs, you can kind of see in the middle, and then you get around to another thick side. And I picked my favorite of the rubber band sides. For me, it's probably going to be this one. I think this one is a little bit better than the other side. So that's going to be the head of my bunny. And then on this one, let me look at my two sides. Maybe this one. Okay, so this is going to be the body. And I like to glue them together so that the rubber band side is over the rubber band side. Okay, now the glue really just needs to go on the hexagon, because you're not going to be able to get glue down around the edges and get it to hold, because you got hexagon to hexagon. So you just glue in the hexagon. And then, like I said, you want rubber band side to rubber band side. So I've got the full kiss connection here, full kiss connection here. Get that started, and then just flatten it where you can line the balls over the top of each other. If you're using two different size balls, then you'll see the spokes sticking out for your bottom one. Okay, and just center it, just so you have an equal amount of, here, I'll show you this one. See, when you glue the mini to the bitty, you'll just have a little extra bit there. Okay, so here's my bunny. Now I don't remember which side was forward. This side. This side. That's going to be this side. I could also do this if you end up liking one side better. I could do that. Maybe I will. Maybe I will do that. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the pieces in the animal add-ons. We're down to just those pieces now. Okay, so for eyes. The eyes are the big white ovals. Okay, and then you've got the small ovals with the white catch light that we stenciled on during prep work. Okay, so what I do is I glue the black oval to the white oval, and I just leave a little bit. I don't center it. I don't, but you can. I mean, you can. This is your bunny, not my bunny, but I do it where there's just a little bit of white showing around the bottom edge. Let me put this on. I'll just show that closer to the camera. Okay, so I'll pick those up easier with my quick stick. Something like that. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and glue those eyes on for the bunny. So if you're using a mini ball for the head, then you can see a little bit of the eyes kind of is going to stick up. So if I can get that to focus. Both of these have mini ball heads. So see how the eyes are? They're going to stick up a little bit higher than the top and a little bit over the sides. And if you're using a bitty ball, then they're going to stay in on the sides, but they might stick up a little bit above the ball at the top. Okay, so just for placement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my glue here where the eyes are going to go rather than to the back of the eye. And that way anything that sticks up beyond the ball, I don't have to worry about it having adhesive behind it. So Let me get those on. Maybe something like that. Okay, so see they're sticking up a little bit. Something like that. Ooh, he looks like a frog right now. A white frog. A ghost frog! Ghost frog. All right, so this piece that's the cheeks doubles as the feet. So you've got one for cheeks and one for feet. Now, if you want to style it like mine, what you're going to do is you're going to find the nose, which you maybe switch to pink. That's up to you. And you're going to find the teeth. Okay, teeth. And the teeth are going to glue behind, obviously, the cheeks. Okay, so I can put some adhesive at the top of the teeth. Sorry. Okay. Like this. Okay, and then the nose is going to go at the top here. So a little adhesive there. Okay, so a couple styling tips that you could do. If you wanted to put a little catch light on your bunny's nose with a white gel pen, there wasn't a stencil for that, so that's freehand, right? Absolutely optional, but you could just take a little gel pen and just make like a little catch light, okay? And then if you'd like him to have freckles, I did like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, something like that, with a black pen. Okay, optional. All right. Now, if you start to collect the animal add-ons, there is an animal add-ons 1, I think, that does a cat and a fox and a pig. That animal add-ons 1? Am I getting mixed up? I think that's animal add-ons 1. Anyway, there's some whiskers in that one for the cat, and you could grab the whiskers out of that one. I didn't put whiskers in this one, but you know, if you like the look of whiskers on a bunny, you could do that. Okay, so the cheeks are going to hang off pretty significantly, so I'm just going to put my glue in the area below the eyes. Okay. And then I'm going to get there. I'm going to actually overlap my eyes a little bit. This. And you see a fair bit of that. Oh, here. You can see that I'm not very well centered, but a fair bit of those cheeks and teeth and stuff are going to hang off the edges. So that's why putting the adhesive only where it's going to touch the ball is the best. Okay. All right, now depending on which ball you're using is which bow tie you cut, right? So if you're using the mini ball, then you have the bow tie that looks like this. If you're using the bitty ball, you have the bow tie that has the tails. If you have both balls, then you can just pick your favorite. But you did that during prep work, and we had to put a little packing tape over that pink before we die cut it so that it would be shiny. Okay, so the bow tie is going to go right here. Oops. Straight, it's not. All right, then we're just going to kind of keep working down the thing, and then we'll work on ears because you're going to make choices on ears too. All right, your arms. I usually use the skinnier end is the shoulder, and then the fatter end is the hand, so the paws of the bunny, but that's kind of up to you. If you like the look of like claws marks, you can do 3 marks with a black pen out on the end. Let me show that closer. See if you like that, you can do that. Like that. Okay. And then one of them is going to get a carrot, and one's going to get a basket of eggs. Okay, so basket of eggs, we know how to make that. You've got a purple basket this time. You should have another piece of grass. There it is. Okay, again, the grass goes in from the top. Shove it in there. And then underneath, just add a little glue to glue the green to the purple on the back. Okay, then you've got eggs. I put 3 eggs in there. So just pick your favorites. Probably not 2 greens, so do those 3. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back there on the purple that's behind the grass, and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue across there. Okay, and then it's going to stick those eggs into that glue. So I'm going to do green. I'm going to do the spotted one over here, and I'm going to put the pink in there. Okay, so how you have your bunny holding your basket is kind of up to you. You know, it could, but I didn't like it like this because you couldn't see the eggs. So I actually just did it like this, where he's, you know, I mean, I guess you could get fancy and you could like wrap, you know what I mean? Wrap the thing around. I didn't think of doing that, but I think I'm just going to do what I did before, which is just put the thing through put the arm through the basket like this. Okay. So then in that case, I guess I didn't need claws marks, but I can put a little adhesive over the claws, go through, attach that, and then kind of figure out what angle, you know, I want the shoulder on so that the basket is in an angle that I like. But you're going to want to put that shoulder up close to the top of that ball so that basket, if you're using 2 minis, that the basket will kick out and not hit the floor. You don't want it to hit the floor and then curl under. You know, it's got to be high enough off the floor that when you collapse it, it'll go outward. Now, it'll definitely go outward with a bitty ball on the bottom because it's pretty high off the floor. Let's see if I can show you the difference here. See how close he is to the floor with the mini ball? So just make sure that you're putting that shoulder up pretty high on the ball. Okay, so, and I'm just going to put adhesive here in the shoulder area. Okay, and then I'm going to just yeah, see, it's fine. It's kicking out, no problem. Okay, then we've got a carrot, a standalone carrot that comes in the set. Okay, and this time the carrot glues over the base of the stem. So the stem, just put a little glue. Get that to focus. Yeah, put a little glue on the end of the stem. Glue the carrot to it. There's my carrot. Okay, and then that one, I'm just going to glue. So he's holding the carrot like this. Okay, and then once again, pick a spot for his shoulder. All right, he's coming together. All right, this other cheeks are going to be feet. So I'm going to do claws marks again. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, if you're doing the mini ball, then you might just keep them, you know, just like this. That seems to be a good thing. It also looks cute on the bitty ball that way, but you also have the option with the bitty ball, if you wanted to, you could cut it so you can separate the feet. Actually, you know what? If you were going to cut it, though, I might... Sorry, you bitty ball people, if you've already put your claws on. If you're going to cut it and separate them, you may want to use this edge as the front. You know what I mean? So you don't have a cut edge, although I don't think you'll see it. So I think if you've already put your claws marks on, you could just cut it right there and separate the feet, and it would be fine, I'm sure. But if you haven't put your claws marks on, then after you cut it in half, you could put your claws out here on the fully rounded side, and then you can put them wherever you want. So if you wanted a little separation between your feet, that's kind of how you would do it. I didn't think of that, sorry. But on the mini ball, it seems to work best just to leave it connected. So that's what I did here. Okay, so up to you. I mean, it's basically going to glue to the base of the ball like that. So I think I'm going to just put adhesive here. And then I can set it down on those feet. Give it a good press. Ooh, those are not very centered. Hang on. I want glue. Maybe I'll do it this way. Oh, yep, better. Much better. Okay, the last thing we have is just tail and ears. Okay, so tail, I just glue it to the back here, to the base where it sticks up. So which side is up there, it's just up to you. Doesn't matter. It's just kind of a little fluffy cotton ball looking thing. And so it's whichever you side you think is up. So I guess I'll do the pointiest bit up. So I'm just going to use adhesive on the bottom half. All right, and then I'm going to stick it behind my bunny so it's connected to this half and then sticking up in the air. Okay, and the same for bitty ball tails as well. All right, we're to the ears. The ears are the last thing for our bunny. So whether you're doing a tall-eared bunny or a floppy-eared bunny, it's going to be the same. You're going to glue the pink ear centers to the thing, but start at the fold line. In other words, don't go all the way to the bottom. Just start at the fold line with your ear center. So like this. Okay, well, you know what, I say that. Let's see. I guess if you're doing, I guess you have to decide which way is the front. If you're doing a floppy-eared bunny, then you probably want to glue those to the back because that's the underside of the ear. Okay, if you're doing a tall-eared bunny, then you would want to glue them to the front. So you'd pretty side to pretty side. If you're doing a floppy-eared bunny, let's do them to the back. Okay, so I'm going to do a floppy-eared bunny. So if you're doing a tall-eared bunny, then you really don't have to work the fold on the tab. You're just going to use it to glue. Well, I guess I did actually work the fold a little bit, though, because then the ears can kind of... Yeah, we're going to work that fold regardless. So I'll tell you what, let's work the fold. Okay, let's work the fold that's in the ear so that it's easy to see where to start the pink. Okay, so there's the tab. All right, if you're doing a tall-eared bunny, glue the pink to the pretty side of the white. If you're doing a floppy-eared bunny, glue the pink to the back of the white so that the pretty side is out. Okay, so we're going to do the back side since I'm doing a floppy-eared bunny. Or if you're doing one of each, you know, I guess you could do one tall ear and one floppy ear, although they kind of would be, I don't know how you would do a tall ear. I don't know. You could experiment with it. All right, so work the fold. Okay, then we're going to glue. I'm doing a floppy-eared bunny, so I'm going to put my ear center on the back side underneath. So essentially under here. See? Okay, so for floppy ears, okay, if you're doing tall ears, then you're just going to glue those tabs to the back of the ears, or the bunny's head, and you can have those come out at whatever angle you want. You can also try them. Maybe you might prefer them on the side like this. This is your bunny. Wherever you think the ears look at whatever angle you think is great, sticking straight up, separate a little bit, whatever. You're just going to attach those tabs to the back of the bunny's head. Okay, and the ears are going to stick up. If you want to do a floppy-eared bunny, then the best is if you have something soft, like a piece of fun foam or a mouse pad or something like that, then what you can do is you can put the pink side up on that mouse pad and take something like a bone folder, and you can just curve that ear against that thing. See? So I'll give it. Now, could you just do that? I don't know. I mean, I bet you probably could. If you don't have something like a mouse pad, I don't see why you couldn't just, with your fingers, bend it. I mean, honestly, that was just as easy. Maybe I should have just taught it that way. Just take it with your fingers and curve it. So either way. And then now, what we're going to do is we're going to use that tab to attach those ears here to the front so that the ears will flop down. So see, it's the back of the tab. The tab gets the glue not on the side where the pink is, but the other side. And then just figure out what angle. I'm just going to come up to the decorator trapezoid. So I just took right to the edge of the decorator trapezoid. Okay. He's a little bit flying nun right now, but it'll, oh my gosh, so cute. All right, let me flatten that. Give those a really good press. Okay. There he is. There's our little cute floppy-eared bunny, or in those of you who did tall ears, or tall-eared bunny. So cute. Okay, and then the last thing we need to do, and then this card is a wrap, is we just need to glue that bunny to that oval. Okay, and then once it's glued to the oval will slide underneath the bits in our card. So, not that I remember, not that it matters, but I don't remember which. I think this was my card for today. They're very similar. I'm just copying myself. All right, so to glue that bunny down, you can actually put adhesive on the base of the feet and then the hexagon at the bottom. Okay. Again, I wouldn't even bother bringing your glue out past the hexagon because you'll never get it to adhere. So just do these two. And then you can just kind of look at it to get it in a spot which you think is centered-ish. If you flatten it, you can slide it a bit. Look at the sides. See if you feel like you have an equal amount of oval, you know. Okay, there is my little mini ball bunny rabbit, Easter bunny. Okay, and he's going to go right there, sliding that oval bits underneath those slots. And you're going to flatten that up. Close this. And oh gosh, I'm going to have to, I'm worried about that. I noticed that earlier that I had managed to bend my handle just enough that had gotten a little weak. So what I am going to do to stiffen up my handle, if you've done the same thing, is I'm going to cut another white basket, not here on the class, but on another white basket, and then I'm going to glue, I'm going to cut it to where I can glue behind that. You know, probably what I'll do is I'll put double-sided adhesive tape on it so it's a sticker, so that I can go in there, because it's going to be hard to take this off now to replace it, you know, because we've already got the paper on the inside and stuff. So I will just find a way to stiffen that up. Actually, you know what maybe I'll do is I'll just do another color handle, and I'll go over the top with it. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the basket again, and I'm going to snip it here and here, and I'm going to glue another one over the top and just change the color of the handle. That'll be fun. Okay, but then when I want to open the thing. All right, so when you go to mail this card, so it's fine if you want to leave it flattened, you know, for storage. Obviously, that's going to be easier for storage. But when you're ready to mail this card, I'm highly going to recommend, because the rubber bands stretch out when they're flat like this. The rubber bands stretch out, and then it'll pop up kind of lethargically, or it'll only come like to here, and it'll have a bunch of gaps in it. If you leave it sitting out for half a day, those rubber bands will tighten right back up again. And if you need to get that process to go a little faster, you can even take rubber bands and just go around your ball and, you know, hold it into that fully popped up position before you go to mail it, and then mail it, you know, after that. So they do stretch out over time. Now, sometimes they break. I mean, hopefully not, you know, upon first whatever, but like over time. Like if you can store your rubber band animals, obviously in a climate controlled environment, and I mean, honestly, dark is better, then try to do that, and then they'll last longer. And I have some ball animals that have lasted me years, okay? But if they break, and, you know, you mail this to a grandchild or child or something, and they, oh, grandma, my bunny doesn't pop up anymore or whatever, and they bring that to you. One nice thing about this being removable from the card like this is you can repair it. So what you would do then, I'm not going to do it for real, but you'd figure out where the rubber band is connected to. So you figure out which side has the slit, because that's the side you would want to cut open on the ball, because then you can replace the band. And then you would take your scissors, I'm not going to do it right now, but you would just cut that ball on the seam open on those two sides, and then you can get right in there and replace the band. And then you've lost your half tabs, right? Because you just cut them in half. So you don't need to make half tabs. You don't need to make anything like that. You just need a new tab to seal that ball back up again, right? So you just need a new tab, folded tab, to go inside there to seal that ball back up. So I have several. You know, if they're a couple years old and the bands have broken or whatever, I want to replace them, I just cut the ball open on the two sides where the thing is, reach in there, put new bands in, put my own tab back to put them back together again. Okay, but they're fun. They're fun. People love to get those ball animals. They're super fun. All right. Well, I am going to just take a little break that you won't see because I'm going to be right back with card number 2. Oh, hey, but before I get off of this card and onto the second one, I just went to the scrap bin and I found a piece of yellow. That's just because that was the first pastel color I found that would kind of match this. And I think what I'm going to do is cut... I put double-sided adhesive on the back of the cardstock before I die cutting, and I want to cut the handle lower than where my weak spot is in my white one. So I'm going to cut basically... Now, I could have just done it in white again. It's just that I thought by having it be two-tone, it would look intentional, look more intentional. You know what I mean? So then now, if I put that over the top of my white one, then it will stiffen it up where I kind of made it weak by bending it. And then, well, see, I don't have my bunny in. Hang on, I'm gonna put my bunny in. Put my bunny in. Okay, then, oh yeah, see, that's made a big difference now in the strength of my basket. So just an idea, if you did the same thing as me, which is, you know, hit the handle enough with your, see, probably what would be better would be to do the closure from the bottom, and then you wouldn't have to worry as much about the, you know, the basket. And that's weird because I really didn't have a problem with my first one. That one. I guess I did bend it a little bit right there. Oh, well, maybe the fact that it remember I told you, oh, this one rotates. Maybe that was actually helping me a little bit. I'm not sure. Anyway, okay, so card number 1. Sorry, this is going to be a marathon class. There's no way around it. When we do ball animals, it's long. But you are in control. You don't have to stick with me right now. You can always just come back later some other time and do your other card. Okay, card number 2, Good Luck Pop-Up card. And this one's not going to take nearly as long as the bunny rabbit, so we'll get done with this one a lot faster than that. Oops. Okay, so wishing you good luck. So now I'm going to get everything out of my card 2 and dump that into my tray, whatever I have. Okay, so when we have a new release, so we had 12 dies in our February release, and so then we usually split those up across 3 months worth of classes. And so typically that would be like 4, 4, 4, 4, you know, on the dies. But actually this month we had those 2 word dies, kind of those single word dies with the Happy Easter and the Good Luck. And it just actually made it more even as far as on the financials to have 5 dies this month. And then this month is 4, I think, and then 3 is the way it worked out best. So what that left me with is basically having like Easter dies and then having this like good luck and this other word die and no real pop-up to use for the second card unless I made another ball project. And I didn't really want to make 2 ball projects the same month. Okay, so when we need to make a pop-up card but we don't have another pop-up in the required dies, then I pick one that the stores can pre-cut for you. So for this month, I thought it would be fun to use our rocket pop-up. So this was not one of the required dies, which meant that it had to be pre-cut. But since I was going to be using it just for the mechanism, I really didn't have to have them cut you rockets and all that other business. I just needed the 2 parts that are used to make the structure of the rocket pop-up, okay? And so those have been pre-cut for you. You can see them here out of the sea salt. So you basically got the moon surface and you've got the flames that usually would go with the rocket, but I had them cut them out of that sea salt color. So those are in your pre-cuts. And then the only other pre-cut for this class is I wanted to do, you know, again, I'm trying to use the dies that are in the required dies. And I thought, well, great. Well, we have grass and well, we have carrots, right? So we can do rooting for you. And boy, we can make a rock out of something. So I did a rock for that. And then, but I didn't figure I could use any of the pieces in the Easter dies to make a bee. So that was pre-cut for you. And there's 2 dies sets that have that same bee. There's the flower pot pop-up. If you're in the pop-ups, there's the bee. But then we also have a little set that just has the flowers, vines, and bee out of that set as a standalone. And so that one has the same bee. So either of these 2, if you like that bee, would have that same bee in it, flowers and bee, or flower pot pop-up. And so that's been pre-cut for you as well. Okay, so let's get started on our card. So this one's going to be almost an A2. So it's 4 1/4 on the width, but the length, I trimmed it to 5 inches. So instead of 5 1/2. And that really was because I liked the way that ended up centering that journaling card on the card. So it's a little bit less than an A2, but it'll still fit in an A2 envelope. And we're going to, again, jump into decorating that card. So you get your card out. Again, 5 by 4 1/4. And then you've got the 2 pieces of wood grain to glue inside the card. Okay. And what I would do is bring those up to the fold on the inside, but not cross it. So leave a little gap at the fold so that it doesn't bunch. And then that should leave you a pretty equal border on these 3 sides. Okay, now if you care about the wood grain matching up, there is a way that it will match up. I don't know if it really helps you to look on this side because it was cut right between journaling cards, but you can look at the wood grain itself. And I don't know, I think it's this way. I say that, I have no idea. I guess it really lines up either way. I don't think you can get this wrong. Anyway, I'm going to do it this way. Okay, so wood grain up, and we're going to glue those papers. Again, we're doing Cartabella on the papers. I've listed the names of the papers in the handouts. Okay, so just looking at my outside edge and then just coming up to, but not crossing the fold on the inside. Okay, so there's my paper. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and have us put these side decorations on now before we do the pop-up. So one thing about the rocket pop-up is once it's in the card, your card doesn't open fully flat anymore because the fold in the fold tension will keep it slightly, from flat. And you really wouldn't want to push it all the way open flat because you'll probably just tear the pop-up up to do that. So this is fully open, but it's not fully flat, okay? So it's going to be easier for us to add these side decorations if we do it before we get the pop-up in. All right, so you are looking for the flower paper that then the slightly wider strips of blue. And you're going to glue those together. Okay, here's my other strip. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, I don't know if there's an up or down to those flowers, so I guess just whichever way you think looks the best. I think this way. This one. I do love the papers this month. I love the papers every month. I love paper. I just love paper. I'm so impressed. Don't glue those on yet because we've got to put Easter eggs behind them. Okay, so something I mentioned during the prep work video is I do always take it as a challenge to try to use the required dies as much as possible because then the students do the cutting, you get to find new ways to use dies and things like that. And I thought, boy, those egg border would make a really cool kind of irregular scalloped border if you just glued half the egg, behind there. So you can kind of decide where you want that to start, how you're going to trim it. It doesn't really matter, just to your liking. I did do the pointiest bits of the eggs in, okay, so that it's the more just kind of a regular scallop out. So what might be easiest would be to maybe along that edge and kind of figure out where you want to start your border and end it. How much it sticks out, that's kind of up to you as well. Looks to me that I was close to getting the divot to kind of touch the blue. That helps at all. And what you can do on the ends is just trim straight across. Okay, so there's this one. Okay, and then make sure over here you're doing the other side. So if you've got an up or down to your flowers, make sure that you're doing the inside edge. Okay, this I'll do something similar. I don't think there's really any right or wrong for that. That's just personal preference. Okay, so there's this one. And then I just glued those down even with the edge of the paper. On this side. Okay, so now the card is ready for that pop-up. So in your pre-cuts, if you want to get out the two parts of the pop-up, okay, so that's the flames and the moon, okay. So the moon's surface has got fold lines in it, see? So this right here, if you're, this tab right here, this long rectangular tab, this is what's referred to in the handout as the A tab, okay? And then this one over here is going to glue on the other side, right here, okay? When we first glue it in the card, we're not going to do anything with this tab at the bottom. That tab is going to stick up and be used for part of the flames, but it's this A tab that's going to get glued down. So the first thing I want to do is I want to find the fold. So I'm going to find the fold for that tapered tab. I'm going to fold that to the back. So I'm looking at the pretty side of the moon where the long tab is on the right, okay? And there's a fold up the middle of the moon right here. Okay, so I can pinch that to the back. And when I do that, you'll see that these line up right here. Those two tabs, one's just shorter than the other. Okay, and then there is a tab at the base here, okay, that essentially isolates the A tab and then the one on the other side. So these two, you can just see it right there, how they're going to meet in the fold of the card. They're going to pop up something like that. And you can see already that it doesn't, you know, really go all the way flat like this. It's going to have a little hobby horse to it, you know, a little wrecking horse to it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to figure out where to put this in the card. All right, so in the handout, it says, get to my handout here. It's good diagrams if you're a person that goes better by diagrams. See, it says we're going to measure 2.5 inches down from the top of the card, and we're going to attach the A tab on the right side, and then we're going to fold it up into the closed position, add glue to the short tab, and close the card against it. Okay, so that's how this is going to go. All right, so 2.5 inches. So on a ruler, I'm going to measure down 2.5 inches from the top of the card, which is essentially right to the center. Okay. There's my mark at the center. And so I'm going to end up gluing that A tab down, okay, so that kind of the point, the circle, where the circle is on that mark. Okay, so this is the edge right here. These two edges are meeting in the fold of the card, right? So we're putting the moon, so here we go. Let's start like this. Okay, we got A tab. Okay, we're going to flip it over so the moon craters are down, and we're going to glue this A tab to the right side of the card, and where it's going to go, you know what? Before I do it, let me do this. This will be a great visual. This will be a great visual for everyone to see what we're doing. When I do these pre-cut pieces, it always scares me a little bit because you only have one, you know what I mean, unless you own the die. That's what's going to happen. That's where the A tab is going to glue down on the right side of the card. So, see that? So that like the tip is basically going to be at the pencil line, and we're going to glue that A tab down, and we're lining up this edge right here with the fold of the card. Okay? And then this one's going to fold over the top, and see how it's also going to be right up against the fold of the card, but when we attach it, it'll attach over there. Okay? All right, so here's our piece. we've got A. We're going to flip it over so the moon craters are down. Okay, you can fold this one up over the top if you want to. All right, and we're going to go back there on that A side and we're going to add that adhesive. I'm going to shellac that down on the card. I'm not putting any adhesive on the tab and I'm not putting any adhesive on the moon, just on the A tab. All right, this is the edge that lines up with the fold of the card. Okay, so I can even lift my card up if I want to kind of jam it right in the fold so that it's even with the fold, but it doesn't cross the fold. Okay. All right, and what I've just glued down is my A tab to this right side. So this is still loosey-goosey right here. This one hasn't been glued down yet. Just this A tab lined up with the fold, tip at the pencil line. Okay. All right, let me see. I've got pencil marks everywhere. I guess I'm gonna put a border back there, so I guess that one doesn't matter. Oh, and I covered the one on the front, so I'm not too bad. Okay, my A tab is down. All right, then I'm gonna fold this one over the top. Okay, and then this one is my short A tab. I guess I don't know if I gave that. Is it a B? No, it doesn't have a letter in it. But my adhesive's gonna go on top of that tab now. Okay. I'm going to keep that nice and flat, and I'm going to close the card against it. Okay, and I got to give it a second. And remember, when it opens, maybe even when it opens, I'll just go in there and press that tab as I open it. And it's going to raise the moon up. Okay, but your card isn't going to open all the way flat anymore. Okay, it's going to have a little bend in it. Okay, you can go in there, kind of give it, you know, I like to do that, kind of squish that fold or whatever, but you know, it's going to have just a little rock to it now. Okay, all right, that is the essence of the rocket pop-up. And then you've got this piece. Okay, and that creates the flames for the rocket, and those go attach over here. Okay, so let's look at this piece. All right, so what we have is if you put it to where the double flame is to the top, right, and then we've got the single flame kind of down here, right. You're going to come to a horizontal fold that will fold away from you. Okay. Then you'll come to another horizontal fold that does not go through the tab. See? The tab becomes just this little upside down T. See, I only folded the area around it. I didn't fold right through it. Okay? That's what holds the rocket. This is where the rocket, or in our case, we're going to put a square on it, would sit on there. Okay? And then back here, the reason this is doubled is because it's for strength. Okay? So when you fold up the side of this flame, it will then glue back here and make this double strong. Okay, but what I like to do is I like to sandwich the tapered tab in between those two layers as I do it. Okay, so as I'm gluing these together, I just go ahead and go right around that tapered tab and attach it. Okay, so let me pull this back up again, get it out of the way. All right, so what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm going to put adhesive. I'm going to essentially, this little double flame area is going to become a single flame area. And I'm going to put adhesive all over the inside of that to seal it closed, right? But I also need a little adhesive right down here, because this tapered tab is going to go right in between those two layers. Okay. So this tapered tab back here, this loosey-goosey tab, is going to go right into that adhesive, and this is going to sit on the ground. So I don't know what's the easiest way to do that. I mean, what I usually do is I just, as I'm closing it, I just get it around that tab, and then I just shimmy thing up the rocket until it's attached. See, I just sandwiched that tab right between those two layers because I glued it together. Okay, so now that those flames are attached back there. Okay, now, typically, if you were doing a rocket, then your next step would just be to come around and attach this to the front mechanism like this. We're not going to do that yet. We're not going to do that yet because we don't really want flames because we're doing something different for this card. So we want to cover up those flames. All right, so I had you do some trimmer cuts. I had you take the same color cardstock, okay, and I had you cut 2 of them to the height of this back flame section, and then I had you cut 1 that was just a little bit shorter, and that's the one that fits, okay, on this one. All right, so, oh, did I trim flames? I think I did, actually. I did trim flames. Okay, so that's good. I'm glad I checked that. I'm glad we did that ahead of time. Yep, I remember now. I remember that I did trim flames. Okay, so rather than have these be wide enough to cover all the flames, I just figured you could cut the flames off a little bit on the right-hand side. Okay, so let's just cut those flames off, something like that. Okay, get rid of them there. And we need to do the same thing on the back. So let's just snip a little flame off. Snip a little flame off, snip a little flame off. Okay, the right-hand side, just to get down to where this will completely cover this one. Who's the same? Yeah, these ones. Okay. Right. Okay, so just snip it a little bit of flame off the right-hand side. Okay, so now you can take the 2. So you've got 2 that are taller than the shorter one. Okay, shorter one's for the front. Let's just set that aside. So these 2 tall ones can be glued, one to the front here and one to the back here to cover up those flames. And now it's going to be super strong, right? The only thing I want you to do is make sure that you don't pin down that little tab in the process, okay? So what am I made that? Let me just flip that around. Okay, I'm going to lay it like this, okay? When I go to put the one on the back, weave it under that tab so that that tab is not pinned down by that piece, all right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add my glue all over the back of those flames. Like this. And I'm going to take one of those pieces. I'm going to get in there. All we're doing with these pieces is turning them from flames into just plain mechanism. Okay, so we've taken away the flame look from the back. Okay, but we still have flames on the inside here. So that's what we're going to do with this one. I'm going to go in on the inside and attach it. Okay, so now I can lift this one kind of up and out of the way so I can get access to it. Okay, so glue. I mean, you can try putting glue in some of these areas, but I don't feel like you'll ever get any adhere, you know, off the rocket part. It's too thick. I think you're only going to be able to get it to attach to the rocket part itself. But all we're trying to do is just disguise the flames. So it's not important for the functioning of the piece. It's just for the aesthetics. Okay, so now we've basically just covered up the flames with 2 pieces of cardstock. Okay, so this one, typically what you do to get good placement on that front one is you just glue it to the front part of the mechanism. And what I like to do is go to the floor, but then bring the little flame to the front so that you can kind of do the sandwich thing again. Not super important this time. That's mostly for pretties, but you're going to glue one over the top anyway, so it doesn't matter to me if you just glue it all the way to the back. But I just find it's actually kind of easy to do the sandwich thing, you know what I mean? So then it just kind of gets in the right spot. So I like to do it that way. All right, so here's what I would do. I would put the adhesive on the front here. Okay, and then maybe a little bit on the back of the flame, right? Because that's going across to the front. And then I'm just going to sandwich it until it's on the floor pinching it to attach to the front, and then I'm going to check it here. Yep, that's working. It'll work better once I get my this one on the front, because I've really strengthened up the back, right? I've super strengthened up the back, but I haven't done anything on the front yet. So right now it might not even, you know, see how this one's like, oh, I'm not even sure what I want to do yet. Let's get this one on, and then it'll be happier. Okay, so we're going to put this one on the front here. Okay, like that. I didn't do an extra piece for like the inside of this one, you know, because you barely ever, I mean, when would you ever see it? You know what I mean? Like how we did this one on the inside and the outside. I only did the front side of this one. I'm just trying to make it not flames. Okay, so see how it stands straight up like that? And then it'll collapse down and it'll pop up. Cute, cute, cute. Okay, what's clicking for me? Get something clicking. Oh, this is coming up a little bit in the back. All right, there it goes. All right. So just a way to change the rocket pop-up from rocket flames into, you know, generic. So you can see it's already been genericized. Now it still have some moon landing stuff going on here, but we're going to add those little squares over the top, so you're not really going to see the moon parts anymore. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so let's get some decorator pieces ready for this piece now. Okay. Is that what we're going to do next? That is what we're going to do next. Yes, yes. Oh, you know what? Well, let's do this. Let's get some grass on there. I think that'll be good. Let's get some grass on there first. So I had you die cut the grass borders from the Easter borders. Okay. And we're going to cut a piece of grass to go across this piece of it. And then we're going to cut a piece of grass to go there. So I'm just going to lay that on there and I'll figure out where, between which blades of grass I can cut it. And then when I glue that on, I'm only going to use the adhesive along the bottom of it. I'm not going to put any adhesive behind the blades of grass. And that way I can still slide things behind it when I'm decorating. So see, adhesive's only going on the long, flat part of the piece. And then I'm going to glue that on the right side at the bottom. Oh, I guess I could, you know what I could do too? I've got a little piece of moon sticking out past my, I guess I could take that off too. Like, yeah, that little piece of moon, I guess I did trim that off. Okay, so here we go. Oh, now I've got grass on the bottom there. Okay, and then I can use this same piece over here. Now see, I still have rocking, so don't, just try your best not to force it to open up, you know, all the way. All right, so it looks like on this one, well, you know what, actually, oh, okay, apparently I trimmed this off too. Probably should have looked a little closer at my card before I wrote those instructions. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so I'm going to take this little chunk off too. I don't need it. Just the area outside the tab or whatever. Okay, I'm going to take that little chunk off too. All right, now, because I was like, why is my grass so much longer? All right, so now my grass piece is going to be a little shorter because it only needs to go to here. Okay, so I'm going to trim that. Okay. Adhesive just along the bottom, so I'll still be able to tuck things in. Wonderful. Okay, and then let's hang on to that grass. I don't know if we need it or not, but we're putting a lot of grass places, so that'll be good to use for that. Okay, so let's start making some squares now, some of these decorator squares. So I'm going to set this aside, and then let's get out all of those squares that we cut. So you've got white squares. You should have 4 of those. 4 white cardstock squares. We just cut these with a trimmer, not with dies. All right, then you've got slightly larger blue squares. Okay, 1 for each one. Then you've got slightly larger than that floral squares, and you've got 1, the biggest square is the blue again. Okay, so the only one that's going to get the extra layer is going to be the one on top, the rooting for you. Okay. All right, so let's, you know what, let's just go ahead and start with rooting for you. So for this one, our base is going to be our big square. You're going to choose one of your floral squares to go on it. Doesn't matter which one. Okay, center and put that on. All right, and then we're going to do blue square. Okay, so we're just going down in size. Okay, and then when we get to the white square, okay, we want to do grass and we want to do carrots. So let's find some carrots. Got your 2 carrots and 2 stems. Uh-oh. My stems is gone. What has happened? Okay, through the magic of pausing the video, I just went and cut another carrot stem, so probably it'll show up. All right, let's make 2 carrots. Okay, so if you remember, the adhesive goes on the stem, carrot to it. Okay, and we're working here on this rooting for you white square. So we're going to make kind of an X with the 2 carrots, and then grass is going to go at the bottom, and then the little greetings, those were just computer generated, so I just basically used a computer font to lay those out, and I made them specifically so that you could cut them out with the eye die from the Animal Add-ons 5. So I sized those so that the die would cut them out perfectly. Okay, so that's what we did. So you're looking for rooting for you. Now for your future projects in your handout, you've got another set or 2 sets or whatever. Just make sure that you print those at 100%. So if you want to make this card again, you've got that in your handout. Okay, so let's see. We can kind of work as a little unit here. I've got schmutz on my carrot here. Let's see. All right, so it looks to me like I did this carrot at this angle. And coming up like this. Can hang off the edges because it's going to go on that bigger one anyway. And then I took this carrot, crossed it something like this. Be a little lower. Okay, so here's my 2 carrots. All right, and then I put grass over the top. And I can use adhesive in the blades of grass now because I've already got the carrots in place. Okay, and then I can take my scissors and trim the grass to fit. All right, and then rooting for you. Well, you know what? Let me get this on here first, and then I can kind of decide where I want rooting for you. Okay, this one's going to center on the blue. Okay, and then rooting for you. Okay, there's my rooting for you layered square. Okay, I'm going to set that aside, and now let's work on You'll Be Amazing. All right, so in your pre-cuts is a black or a gold bee. Okay, some kind of golden color. All right, and then you just need a black pen for this. So whatever black pen you have will work. All right, and on the styling on that, what I do is this, is I just color in the head and the antenna with black. Okay. Now I'm using a pretty fine tip pen for this, but what I would often do if I want to get around the edges is I would actually use something like a brush marker, like a Copic or something like that, because then I can lift it up. Let me pay attention to which one has the stripe. See, then I can get in and go around the gold on the edges too. So, but you can do it with the skinny black pen. I just was showing both options. All right, then what I like to do for the body is I like to give myself 3 stripes, okay? So I just kind of do a rounded stripe and then a little bit down from that, okay? And I fill that one in. Okay, then I come down a little bit and I do a second stripe and just rounding. Color that one in. And then a little bit on the tip as my 3rd stripe. That's my favorite way to style that bead. Just with 3 stripes. Okay, so this little thing is pretty easy. It's grass across the bottom of the white. The bee is flying and you'll be amazing in there. Okay, so white. Oh, you know what? I said that I should put grass on that first. Zoop. No, that's fine. I don't. Yeah, no, I do have to put grass in it first because I want to be able to cut the grass to fit. I guess I could. You know, it's fine. I'll do it this way. I'm going to do it this way, but in hindsight, I could have done this first because I can just use it. One of the other ones to get it to the right width. Okay. Grass across the bottom of the white. Okay, then the bee kind of flying with, let me go ahead and put this on one of the florals because then I'll know how far off the bee's wing can extend. I guess it wouldn't matter if it stuck out even further than the square, but let's see. Yeah, it really wouldn't matter. It sort of depends on where you're putting things, you know, whether or not you could create a catch point by having things stick out further. So I think just to be safe, I'm going to keep my bee on my florals, you know, not within the limits of the floral square. So it doesn't have to stay within the limits of the white. It just has to stay within the limits of the square set. So see, I didn't have it stick out any further over here. Okay, and then this one's going to be the You'll Be Amazing. I'm going to have that just slightly overlap my B. Okay. All of this is stuff that you can make your own creative choices on, obviously. You'll be amazing. Yeah, never met a good pun I didn't love. All right, okay, rock, we're going to do something a little differently with rock. Okay, so first things first, let's get ourselves a piece of grass. Don't glue it down, but let's just get ourselves a piece of grass that will fit across that white square for the rock one. Okay. All right, so I had you during prep work cut yourself and stencil a rock, and I think I ended up making 2 because I wasn't sure. Oh, maybe I chucked the other one. No, there it is. No, I guess maybe I didn't. I thought I ended up making, I know I made 2 during prep work, but I maybe, I might have gotten rid of the other ones so that it wasn't confusing on class day, which is probably what I did. Okay, so here's my rock. All right, so what I did with the rock is I kind of wove it into the grass a little bit, you know, so you can go in front of some blades of grass and behind others, you know, kind of something like that. Or, well, it looks like I got it to where he was sitting on, well, it depends on where your grass is. I guess it depends on whether you're going to see. It's not like you couldn't put another piece behind it if that bugged you. We have plenty of grass. Just enough to go to the last one. We have barely enough grass, but there is a piece of grass. So like, depending on, like this one, let me show you what I'm looking at. On this one, the piece of grass that I cut was such that I could weave the rock down to where it was like sitting on the grass and there was no little white space between it. But the grass I cut this time, which would work on my last piece, so maybe I'll pick a different piece of grass. Okay, look, right here I could do it. Oh yeah, right there. I found a piece where I could weave down all the way to where he's sitting on grass. I mean, yeah, sitting on grass. Okay, so I'm going to use that one. And for this one, I had the grass up a little ways into the square, so I didn't have it all the way at the bottom. I had it up in the middle, somewhere like this. Okay, and then we've got the, well, this one will go on the blue. Okay, and then the blue will go on the flower. Okay, and then the U rock green is going to go under something like this. So there's my cute little U rock. All right, and then the last piece, I guess I got two pieces of grass. I guess I can pick my favorite. Yep, that's long enough. All right, so the last square is actually just the place to sign the card. So this one's just going to get grass at the bottom and then layer the squares up, and then we'll put that in the card wherever you like it to go. Okay. All right, this one, this one. Okay, now we have all of our, oh, I guess apparently I wove a flower in the layers on that one. I don't think it matters. I'm going to put my flower over the top. Actually, I remember I did it this way on the first time, and then when I had it already done, I kind of wish that I put it on top. I remember that. I was like, I kind of wish I would have put that on top. So I'm going to put it on top. All right, and then I should have two other flowers. So those flowers were actually just flowers out of the pattern paper, but I just had you capture the flower with that tail die from the bunny. So the bunny tail we made, we just used that to just capture some flowers out of the pattern paper, just to kind of weave them in. Okay, so when we go to put these on, get back out here to my card. Okay, I think I'm going to start with "You'll Be Amazing." So what I found is that I only wanted to attach "You'll Be Amazing" to the to this reinforced part and not all the way across. Okay, just because like this, then it can. If it needs to separate like that, you know, to open a little wider, it can. Okay. So it's better if on the "You'll Be Amazing," if we just attach it to this and just let this side, you know, go out over air. So let's see, if we put a flower here, then we can put this here, and then we won't see any craters. Okay, so we'll cover up the craters. So if you put a flower overlapping the fold, just make sure that you're only attaching it to the right side of the fold. Okay, so you can see here, went up a little bit on that. So here's what I mean by that. I'm going to put my adhesive right here on the right side of that fold, and I'm going to take my flower, and I'm going to make sure that I can't go too far, because look where it has to land in the finished card. It's going to be real close to the fold. Okay, so you got to watch that. So you can't have it too far this way. But it can be a little bit over the fold and still close. So just put it on there and check it. And if you need to move it, you can move it. Okay, so there's that. All right, and then You'll Be Amazing. Let's put that, see, I can go a little bit behind the grass if I want to. I kind of did it at an angle like this. I don't know why, just because I thought it looked cool, I guess. I mean, you could probably have fun with this, figuring out your own placement on some of these, but how far down from the top do I go? Let me go over the grass a little bit so I can go a little lower. Maybe something like that. Okay, let me go. Okay, we'll give it a chance. Give it a chance to set up. Woo! You can tell I've been teaching for 3 hours. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right. Yeah. That's good. Oh, see, I like that. I like that this can, it'll open up further if I don't glue that all, you know, like make that like that, you know, because then that can kind of lean backwards a little bit more. So that's why I like attaching it just to this right side over here. Okay, then I put a little flower here, which you can, you know, however you want it to go, maybe overlap a little bit. I'm just only going to use adhesive where it's going to touch the pop-up. So I'm going to put it here. Okay, there's that one. All right, then Rooting for You is going to go up here, and this whole little upside down T can get the adhesive. Okay, so now let's see, let's make sure that we put that in the spot that it stays in the card. So you'll see as you close it down, you've got a fair bit of room, so I don't think it's going to be an issue unless you really put it really low, then it would stick out the card, but assuming that you pretty high, and let's look at how much overlap I have. So can you see that there? It's most of the square is up north, I guess, of that, and just a little bit below. Okay, so put my adhesive here all over this upside down T looking thing, and then I'm gonna, oh, I guess angle's up to you too. I don't know. Something like this. Stay in the card. Yeah, that's just personal preference as to whether it's, you know, straight like this. You know, what do you want? Or whether it's at a cute angle this way or this way. I don't think it really matters. Cute. Okay, and then You Rock. Just going to attach over here and get rid of the last of our craters. So I can still go a little bit behind that grass at the bottom. Okay, and it can stick out over here. Just, you know, once it hits the floor, or maybe keep it up. Oh, maybe keep it up a little bit from the floor so it doesn't creak on you. Or whatever. Okay, so the adhesive's going to go here. And the pop-up. I'm going to leave it a little bit behind the grass, some of the grass petals, I guess. I'm going to come in. Something like that. Give it a check. Make sure it all folds down flat. I don't know why this card makes me happy. It just does. I don't know why. It just makes me happy. Okay, and then this is going to go down over here as a place to sign the card. So at whatever angle and location that you want. Yeah, so I think this technique of repurposing the rocket pop-up with just generic squares obviously could be redone in any kind of theme. So you could put like little animals on there, or obviously you could stamp it if you've got some cool stamps that you wanted to use. So that kind of triple square look. One thing I did, just a little aesthetic thing, is I just put a little half Easter egg border on the back there so that as you're opening the card, it was just pretty back there. Just a little pretty decoration back there. Just kind of disguise how the functioning tabs look or whatever. So on that one, you don't have the opportunity to tuck it under like we did with these. So you are going to have to just cut your Easter egg border in half. And I just did that with scissors. I didn't get my trimmer out. I'm just essentially making a scallop border out of it. Okay. So there's that. And then just back here, I want to trim a piece for here, which actually just seems to work out perfectly to go right there. Glue that. So I'm gluing that down on the card, just butt it up to the pop-up, just as a little secret decoration that you kind of see when you first open the card before the pop-up flies up in the air. Cute. All right, there we go. One cute card. All right, so let's talk about the front of the card. So this is an example of where the pattern paper is doing some of the work for me. Oh, there it is. I was like, oh, I don't have it. So this one here is the simple things in life that matter. I like the design of it, but I wanted to replace it with good luck. So first things first, I can see that I did not trim mine. I have a fair bit of white showing here, so I'm going to get that white off mine. I could also handle that with just a little ink if I needed to. What we want to do is we want to kind of gut it's the simple things that matter. So I've given you a diagram too here on your last page. So see what I did is I just kind of fussy cut around the flower. I don't know if you can see, but it's cut here and around the leaf and around the flower and here. And then this is the original white from the journaling card back behind there. So I didn't try to get in there with an X-Acto knife or anything like that. I did lose the cute little butterfly though. So since, unless you're trying to keep it's the simple things that matter, you really can just literally poke a hole somewhere to get in there with your scissors and then get out to the edge. And then we're just going to fussy cut around the blue edge. And we can fix all, any white that's showing or whatever with some ink if we need to. So once I got to that leaf that was almost touching the frame, then I went here. Okay. And then let's see. Up to that corner. Okay, there's that. You have little detail scissors, that'd be good, but a little bit of white is showing is fine because we're going to put this on white, so it doesn't have to be the best fussy cutting you've ever done, on this flower. Which is good for me because it's not the best fussy cutting I've ever done. Okay, I'm not going to even try around that fern leaf. I'm just going to pine, whatever it is, fern. Okay, got that out. So I could just leave these bits, but I think I'll take a little bit more out. Let's do it like this. And then around the bend like this. Okay, that's good enough for me. All right, so see how I've got kind of a little bit of, white core and everything showing on that. If you wanted to, you could take some navy ink, which I think I used. chipped sapphire. That sounds familiar. I think I used chipped sapphire. So if you wanted to, you could take a little ink on that inside edge. Just on the blue. I wouldn't do it against the flower, but just on the blue. Kind of solves a few ills there. It doesn't look like I inked on the outside at all. I just did that a little bit on that inside edge, just, you know, to kind of disguise some of the fussy cutting jags and stuff like that. All right, then you've got a piece of white to glue behind there to fill that in. That white's a little bit smaller than the opening or the piece, so what you could do is you could just go around the perimeter of your opening, stay a little bit away from the edges. Put that white in there. Okay, so now we've gutted that frame. All right, so then around the perimeter, I did the irregular scalloped borders with the navy ones. Okay, so probably what I will do is put that like that. So put one side on. And then grab my next one. Yeah, that's not bad. You just kind of have to find the eggs that look good in the corners. You know what I mean? Where they're going to kind of overlap. But it looks fine. To me. I don't have any issues with it. See? That worked out just fine. Now we'll see. We'll see if we get to the next one and it's the worst. But no, that's good. That's good in that corner. That'll be okay. It's a little short on this side, but then the last one will fix it, I think. It's kind of fun because using those eggs as a scallop border, it's not an even scallop. It's like a, you know, it's kind of a fun doodly scallop, you know, for lack of a better words. And it doesn't look like eggs, you know. You don't look at it and go like, oh yeah, Easter eggs used for scallops. It doesn't look like that. So, it doesn't to me anyway. I hope it doesn't to you. Okay, on this one, I think, yeah, I'm gonna go down to the third egg to get started. So you'll see as you're doing yours that you'll find a section, you know, that fits the edge the best in terms of like the side and the corners, you know. Well, that's why I had you cut 4 of them so you didn't have to try and make, you know, 2 of them work on the short sides or whatever. Just go ahead and cut 4. Full artistic control that way. Good. All right. So there's that. All right. I had you cut 2 pieces of the pattern paper, one for the front and one for the back. I mean, the back one's really optional. If you want to save that paper, you could. I mean, I put it on the back, but it's not really needed for anything. It won't, this is plenty to pop the card up, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that it's weak or anything like that. Sometimes I like to do that just for balance. And sometimes I do it just for pretties. And sometimes I don't do it at all. So it's up to you. Yeah. I don't know if there's an up or down to that paper, really. I was kind of going by this flower, but really. Yeah, I guess that's right side up. This one on the back. Okay, I mentioned earlier that we have a Facebook group called Karen Burniston Pop-Up Peeps. So if you are a Facebook user, if you look up that group, so just go search for it, Karen Burniston Pop-Up Peeps. And you have to answer a couple, you have to ask to join and then answer a couple questions, just to make sure that you're a crafter and all that. And then read the rules before you start posting, because we're real nice about letting you use other people's products, except for the interactive parts. So when it comes to the pop-ups and interactive parts, you have got to use our dies, because that really is our bread and butter. But how you decorate your pop-ups, we'll let you use other, you can use other brands and things like that. The peeps kind of like it when you tell them what you've used and all that. Got to be kind. Kindness is key. Kindness at all times. Kindness. But yeah, you're going to find like lots of inspiration in that group. So people posting with the dies from all over the world. Make sure that you're decorating the front, please. It is easy to do that. You've got your paper flipped over and then, oh gosh, that's the worst. So yeah, in the Facebook group, Karen Burniston Pop-Up Peeps is a great place to get inspiration. And if you end up making these cards again, and maybe you could swap out, make this not a good luck card, but something different. Boy, we would love to see it. Post it on there. Love to see it. Okay, so, well, that's a little crooked, but do I care? I don't care. All right, so what I did is I did wishing you, and I really debated on this one, and you may have a better idea. I don't know. I couldn't quite get wishing you all the way straight across. Well, maybe I can if I do it. Maybe start it in the borders. So, you may want to just do it straight across like this, or if you like the way I did it, I kind of curved the WI and went around the corner. But then the U was kind of hard to bend. Like, I guess you could do it. Like if you wanted it to be more symmetrical, you could bend the wishing and bend the U, or you can do like I did, which is this corner, wishing you, and then good luck. So I leave it to you which way you want to do it. I think I'm just going to do what I did before. So I'm not going to keep you. I mean, first of all, I haven't really gathered a bunch of cards to show or anything like that. And typically I don't in classes like this, because the class takes up everybody's time and all that stuff. And I know this is recorded, so you could come back and watch it later or whatever. But I think we're just going to call it quits here. Those of you who've stuck with me this whole time, especially those of you on the premiere, appreciate you. I appreciate everybody. But, go to that Facebook group. I told you about the Facebook group. Just do what I did before. Wishing you good luck. So the good luck, this is going to be great, obviously, for your St. Patrick's Day cards too, which is coming up next week. So if you do make St. Patrick's Day cards, then good luck would be a good one for that. But the other thing about that, if you don't use the shadow with it, you can also trim it into 2 words. So if you, I don't know, if you wanted to make a good boy card, like say sending somebody a card about your new dog or something, I don't know. I'm trying to think what would you use just the word good for? Just the word luck. But anyway, it's a good little greeting. And there are times when you want to wish somebody good luck. Something to do with school or work or a presentation, audition. Good luck in your new job. Good luck when you're with your move. Somebody's moving. Good luck with your move, your new house, your new, Good luck with your new baby. I don't know. You keep thinking of things. So, all right. There, we did it. There's our wishing you good luck card. All righty, y'all. We did it. 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 Let's turn my Facebook. I have no idea what I look like now after this many hours. But yeah, that was fun. Okay, so congratulations for getting through our 2 cards. cute little bunny rabbit pop-up and are wishing you good luck. And like I said, if you will check KarenBurniston.com, go to the events tab, and you will see the list of the stores where you can get out information or get information about purchasing a Zoom kit through the stores for next month if you want to do April's class and or May's class, because those will both be Zoom classes. And then we'll be back with another virtual class, which is the YouTube classes like this, in June. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great day.